Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, it's about time we talk about this topic. So, the topic we're going to talk about here, repping Trinidad and Tobago, is who was the boxer that had the toughest fight with Floyd Mayweather? I really was looking forward to this, and I said this would be the next video, and we're coming through with this video. I'm in the studio. I want to talk to you guys about this fight because it's an exciting fight. And you guys can join in this discussion right now on this live stream. So I'm looking forward to your comments as well. Before I begin, I'm What You Need. If you guys never met my channel, if you don't know who I am, I'm What You Need, repping Trinidad and Tobago, the red, white, and black. And on my channel, we talk boxing, okay? I want to just refer you specifically to 3 particular channels that you guys should really check out. Don't leave home without them. Barry Robinson's Get Great at Boxing. Eric Bradley's Master Boxing. And Troy Killertainment, Troy King's channel. So those are 3 channels I want you guys to check out. They're good channels. And quite frankly, this is what the purpose of What You Need is. You guys feel free to join in this stream and to leave your comments. I will answer each and every one of them as much as I can. So getting back into the boxing, oh, by the way, What You Need is a channel that you can donate to via Western Union or MoneyGram. You can check me for details if you want to do any donations to my channel. Now, a lot of you guys, when I was looking in the comment section to my introductory video, a lot of you guys thought the following people were the people who gave Floyd Mayweather the most problems in his fights. The 3 major names that come up are Jose Luis Castillo, Emmanuel Augustus, and Marcus Maidana. No doubt, all 3 names gave Floyd Mayweather problems. And if you guys looked at the question I asked you guys, which fighter gave him all he could handle, of those guys, of course, Emmanuel Augustus gave him all he could handle. Emmanuel Augustus bloodied his nose. Emmanuel Augustus was difficult to hit. Emmanuel Augustus made Floyd Mayweather's both hands break in that fight. It was an extremely bloody fight. A lot of skill was employed in that fight. Emmanuel Augustus kept coming forward, rolled punches either way, the drunken master. Lots of skill involved, in blocking, rolling, riding punches. He had a bob and weave style. He had an interesting rhythm to him so that he could stand right in front of you and you still really couldn't touch him. So Emmanuel Augustus was an incredible fight. The problem with that fight was Floyd did not come in at his best, mentally, spiritually, and physically. He came off a long layoff. This fight, he thought, was going to be a showcase fight of his skills. He was supposed to get this guy out of there, and that was that. And it was a young Floyd Mayweather, so he was relatively still inexperienced. I believe he had faced Carlos Rios already, and he knew if a guy was really good defensively, Carlos Rios was another fighter who had very good defense. He could ride punches, he could rock back off of punches, he could roll punches, he dipped under punches, he rolled under punches, so that Floyd just trying to straight shoot and crack a guy. He couldn't just straight shoot and crack, he couldn't just crack Carlos Rios. Carlos Rios was given first lesson in that. But Emmanuel Augustus, coming off that long break, he really gave Floyd all he could handle. Floyd was very happy when he stopped him. It was a hell of a fight. Emmanuel Augustus did not want to stop. Floyd was really putting on the heat on him. He started to zone in, and with both hands messed up, he still managed to stop him. The referee stopped the fight. Emmanuel Augustus was taking a little too much punishment. The corner threw in the towel, actually. But Emmanuel Augustus was a hell of a fighter, okay? He should have been world champion 3, 4, 5 times. His fight against John Molina, for example, was an incredible fight in which could have gone his way, never went his way. He fought all the top fighters that later became champions. He was like this high tier gatekeeper. So when a lot of you guys say Emmanuel Augustus and even Floyd Mayweather and even Floyd Mayweather Sr., they all acknowledge that. You have to look at it in context. It was his stiffest fight, but Floyd wasn't his best Floyd, right? This wasn't a seasoned Floyd, for example. This was a young Floyd growing up. This was not a Floyd going in knowing what to expect. This was not a Floyd that was constantly boxing. He wasn't, he wasn't constantly active. So as a result of all of those factors, while a lot of people say Emmanuel Augustus, I want to show you a guy that Floyd was prepared for. Floyd had a lot of experience. This was not the young Floyd. This was the Floyd that had a lot of experience behind him. He had seen everything. And yet, this fight was a high stakes, high tier fight in which Floyd Mayweather was at his best. And still, this guy gave him everything he could handle. And I'm going to say this. One of the things all these fighters had in common was they had good defense. So Jose Luis Castillo had good defense. Marcos Maidana didn't have as good defense. He was getting cracked. But he had what we call determination to complete the game plan. A lot of them had the determination to complete their game plan. They weren't deterred from their game plan. And all of the guys you guys mentioned, they all made adjustments to their game plan. Now, the adjustments wasn't all round by round and everything, but they were able to do what they did best. They made the adjustments so that they could do what they did best. See, if you're going to make the adjustments with Floyd, because Floyd would want to take away what you do best, the adjustments must be so that you can enable yourself to do what's best. You may get tagged, you may get counterpunched in the process, but once you can do what you do best, once you can get your shots in, sometimes you're going to have to take 3, 4, 5 shots just to land you one shot. In this case, because the guy got more skills than you, he's trying to discipline you, etc. He's a better boxer than you probably. But if you can stick to your game plan and make him uncomfortable, and remember, the goal is to wear him down. Because like everybody who knows boxing, and all the boxers will tell you, even George Foreman told you this when Mayweather was going to fight Pacquiao, you're not going to knock out Floyd. It's not happening. So all of this talk about, I'm going to knock him out, I'm going to be the first guy to knock him out, listen, man, the man got ridiculous conditioning. So that is not going to work. What you can do is slow him down. That's his goal, is to slow you down. So why don't you take his tactics, his strategy, and turn it back on him? One of the things Marcos Maidana did in the second fight was he used Floyd's pull counter against him. He was able to see it about 4 or 5 times in a round, get Floyd to do the pull counter so that he could counter the counter, which is another thing that once you get rolling and you get your game plan to implement, you have to be able to counter the counter. Jose Luis Castillo was able to counter the counter. Emmanuel Augustus was able to counter the counter. Not enough, but they all were able to do that. You have to be able to do that with Floyd Mayweather. So you have to get him out of his comfort zone. So with Emmanuel Augustus, he does head the list for 3 major reasons. 1, Floyd took a lot of damage in that fight. Emmanuel Augustus was able to physically wear down Floyd by imposing his size and weight on Floyd on the inside, because Emmanuel Augustus basically is an inside fighter. But he is a beautiful, special kind of inside fighter who uses a lot of defense and then comes back with something. And he came back with those short, ripping shots as he's rolling the punch here. He'll come back with a beautiful body shot, low, just below the guard. So where Floyd would put up his guard this way, okay, Emmanuel Augustus would come and rip just below the guard. Boom. Sometimes a hip shot, sometimes a kidney shot. When Floyd rolled the other way, Emmanuel Augustus would roll the other way, and he would come back with a hip shot or kidney shot. I remember Roberto Duran talking about this, that to get past the shell defense here, right? You want to protect here. Sometimes you have to pivot to the side and rip a shot. You got to do it all in one nice smooth movement. So you defend by pivoting off at an angle and you rip the shot. Of course, Floyd has a counter to that, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. And he did it against Instinctively did it against Burton. He did it against Jose Luis Castillo. He did it against Marcos Maidana. Okay, he did it against most fighters who were really consistent. Um, so you guys may be interested in who are we talking about? Okay, Marcos Maidana landed a hell of a lot of overhand rights on Floyd, bordering probably anybody in boxing had done. Okay, some nice, crisp, flush shots, and Floyd had to clinch up. You know Floyd is hurt when he starts clinching on you because that shot was just what it is. Now Floyd is physically strong, so to break that clinch is not easy. Okay, when he locked up on you, you know, with Shane Mosley, he locked up on Shane Mosley, and he slides in on you, and then he locks you up. Okay, it's not easy to unlock him because he's off on an angle. Okay, to free yourself. But like I said to people, this is the way how you get out of a lock. Now Floyd's very strong, so when you try to get out of the lock, you're probably gonna pull him down with you, but he might go on the ground. But what you want to do, if a guy locks you up, however it is, right? He locks you up, right? He locks you up. He lock you up here, right? And he's off on this angle here, and he's locked you up here. You got your hand down here. You guys can't see. So let me get up a little bit. So he's locked you up. He got one of your hands down here, locked in here. He got the other hand on bar here. Okay? He's locked you up. What do? Right? You go low. You have to squat deep into him. You'll bring him down, and then you have to come back up. In martial arts, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let me push this back a second, so I'll be able to demonstrate. So in martial arts, right, if a guy grabs me, whether it's from behind, let's say he grabbed me from behind, right? He grabs me this way, right? What do? I drop. I'll pull him down with me, and then I expand. I do like this. So I go, if my hands are here, or my hands are on my side, or whatever, I go down and out. Okay, you look at Povetkin versus the Cuban kid. Cuban kid tried to hold Povetkin. Povetkin went down, and he came over the top. Okay, so that's what you do when a guy's clinching you up. You got to get him off of his balance, one, and then you got to do the contrary thing. So if a guy locks you up, he's got you here, and he's got you here. He armbarred you, and he got you here and here. Okay? What you want to do is, with your two hands are inside of him, your two hands probably like this, okay? You want to slide down like this and slide out. Down and out. And punch him. Okay? Okay. It's not easy to get out of them arm bars because a lot of guys try to do it. They try to slide down and their hands straighten out. The guy's still gripping them, right? But what they forget to do is do this. And it doesn't take a lot of strength. It's just out and turn. And that will cause the hands to slide off. Okay? They forget that. They try to go down and then pull it back. Don't pull back. Down and out. Down and out. And you'll get out of it. Okay? All right. Like I said, I did martial arts, so I know a bit about fighting. Okay, so Castillo. Castillo is one of those fights that a lot of people, they say it's a controversial fight, especially the first fight. Let me tell you why Castillo was not Floyd's toughest fight. We looked at the second fight where Floyd faced Castillo, first of all. Beat him easy, right? But more importantly, Floyd was whooping Castillo's ass in the first round. He did not drop him in the second round, actually. He missed it. But Floyd complained in the corner. I actually saw the fight without the HBO commentary. There was a Russian feed. I listened to that Russian feed, so I was able to hear the corners and what they were saying. And in the corner, Floyd said, my shoulder, man, my shoulder giving me problems, right? His left shoulder was giving him problems. To Roger, and Roger was like, that's all right, man. We're going to get him in the later rounds, right? That was Roger. You just keep on sticking it. You just jab him. And If you look in that fight in the second round, Floyd went southpaw. All right, he went southpaw. He used his right hand to jab, and he was pulling with the left. And throughout the fight, Floyd's jab became less and less. The first round was great. He was jabbing great. The second round, it was iffy, okay? But by the third round onwards, Floyd was not jabbing properly. He wasn't jabbing the full power and full strength. You can see he throw the jab, right? He throw it and pull it back very quickly. So Castillo was able to close the distance because the jab wasn't as effective. Even the jab to the pit wasn't as effective as he would normally throw his jab. In other words, what I'm saying is, when he went into the Castillo fight, Floyd was compromised. And he proved that by going into the second Castillo fight and showing that he was a better boxer, okay? He boxed rings around Castillo the second fight. Of course, it was still a closer fight because Castillo was still doing things to counter Floyd. But the first fight, while it was close, I'll give you guys that. It was a close fight, okay? I had Floyd winning at 7-5 or 8-4. I could see why some people thought it was a draw. You could argue a draw, but it's hard to argue it because you have to give Castillo the round that he lost because he was penalized a point. You have to give him that round and you get a draw. But it was a close fight, okay? I would say this. Was Castillo closest to beating Floyd Mayweather? And he was world champion, right? No. I think that was not the best Floyd Mayweather that went in to face Castillo. Not trying to bring any arguments up, but we're comparing this. We're comparing all these fighters I talk about that give Floyd his toughest fight. Floyd was coming up in weight. Not that that matters, right? But the fight I'm about to talk about, Floyd had experienced the weight class already. He was comfortable in the weight class. 2, he knew what kind of fight he was going into. And 3, in spite of all of that, he knew the opponent was facing. He still had a very tough, grueling, bloody fight with that person. All right? So let's go. So Castillo's fight was a tough fight for Floyd. Nobody's arguing that. One of the tougher fights of his career. But I do not believe that was his toughest fight. Okay? And I do not believe that was the guy that came closest to beating him. And I'm going to give you who the guy was in a minute. But first, let's eliminate Marcos Maidana. Marcos Maidana, Floyd knew he was in for a rough and rugged fight. He knew this. Okay? Going into the fight, he said the style he was going to bring to the table. So this was a fight he knew about. Marcos Maidana hit Floyd quite a lot, probably more than any other fighter has ever hit Floyd. Floyd was bloody. He had a cut over his eye in that fight. He had to overcome immense adversity. Marcos Maidana was extremely bending the Marcus of Queensberry's rules, doing everything possible to hit Floyd and get at him. But in that fight, Floyd came back later on to wear down Marcos Maidana, and he was going toe-to-toe. They was going at it, and he was backing Marcos Maidana up. In other words, by the end of the fight, Floyd had mastered Marcos Maidana, and he was going dirty for dirty if necessary, and he was going toe-to-toe for necessary. They ended the fight trading blows. In other words, he had solved Marcos Maidana, and even though Marcos Maidana was resolute and sticking to his game plan, Floyd had already outthought him, outboxed him, and was beating him at that point in time. And that fight went on and on. Marcos Maidana was trying to do self-preservation and stuff. Now, I must admit, Marcos Maidana had very good jab, and he was mixing his offense and his defense. What I mean by that is he sometimes allowed Floyd to come into him before he counterpunched Floyd. In fact, Marcos Maidana's strategy was to counterpunch Floyd, which was very interesting. In the first round, Floyd was running rings around him, and Marcos Maidana launched the attack. He didn't just come at Floyd like some of the boxers did and try to overwhelm him. No, he picked and chose his opportunities to attack Floyd when Floyd was not expecting it and catch him. So it was a brilliant game plan. Even though Marcos Maidana is nowhere near as skilled as Floyd is, He used what he used and used it quite effectively, to the point where a lot of people argue that he probably won the fight. And some people thought it was a close fight. Some people thought it was a draw. Some people thought that Marcus McDonald won. And some people thought Floyd barely won. And one of the people was, I forgot his name right now, but he had to fight 7-5 for Floyd. I had to fight 8-4, but I understand why people thought that was a close fight. So Marcus McDonald's up there. The problem with that fight is Floyd prevailed over Marcus McDonald. Okay, he prevailed over him. And Castillo's surge started later on in the fight. Marcus McDonald's surge started immediately. We all knew we was in for a fight when Marcus McDonald from round one. Okay, with Emmanuel Augustus, about two rounds into the fight, we knew this was a different kind of fight. And Floyd knew he had a challenge on his hands. He couldn't land on the dude like he wanted to. And even if he hit him in the head, the guy was still rolling punches, blowing kisses at him. It was a mental game. All of that was going on. All right. So I just want to say, the three most popular fights that people talk about, Mayweather versus Castillo 1, Mayweather versus Maidana 1, and Mayweather versus Emmanuel Augustus, those are great fights. Okay. I do agree with everybody that I could see them being candidates for his toughest fight, but those are not the fights I'm going to talk about right now. The fighter and the fight that was most difficult for Floyd, and the fighter that gave Floyd the most problems and did almost everything we said, I beg to suggest, was Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto gave Floyd Mayweather his toughest fight. Now let me explain why. Miguel Cotto, first of all, had avenged his loss against Antonio Margarito, dominated the super welterweight division, okay, after his loss to Pacquiao. Mayweather went into that fight with Miguel Cotto with the utmost respect for Miguel Cotto. At no point in time, even though they trash talk and stuff, did Floyd lose any kind or show any sign of disrespect to Miguel Cotto. Floyd knew he was in for a war. He knew he was in for a battle. So let me give you guys a little context why Miguel Cotto fight with Floyd Mayweather was different to Castillo versus Mayweather 1, Maidana versus Mayweather 1, and Emmanuel Augustus versus Mayweather. 1, Mayweather knew what he was getting into. He knew the fighter that Miguel Cotto was. Miguel Cotto was a very good boxer. He could box off the back foot. He could draw you in. He could counterpunch you. He had an excellent jab. He was a well-schooled boxer. He did bend the Marcus Queensberry rules, but for the most part, he was a clean boxer. But the thing about Miguel Cotto was, unlike many boxers in boxing, he was tough and he was a bruiser. He gave you the rough, rugged, grimy kind of fight. He was a bruiser. Miguel Cotto was a guy, when Zab Judah went in there and hit him those 2 shots, Miguel Cotto hit him to the nuts and shut his ass down. Zab Judah, from there on in, was landing some beautiful straight lefts. Miguel Cotto walked through that shit like it was nothing. And he started to adapt to Zab Judah and counter Zab Judah's left with his own right hand. In the end, Zab Judah's face was bloody. It was a mess. Miguel Cotto roughed him up, but without being, he was very subtle and discreet in how he bent the Marcus Queensberry rules. He shit him, hit him with his shins. He was just physically strong. And so Miguel Cotto was able to wear down Zab Judah. He put his body on him and wear him down. He dig his head into him. He just got that big bruiser kind of mentality, strong ass kind of fighter. Miguel Cotto, he demolished Zab Judah. He demolished him. Paulie Malignaggi, he made it to the 12th round, but he took fucking punishment. At the end of a Miguel Cotto fight, somebody gonna be bloody like shit. They're gonna be blood. There's no Miguel Cotto fight that doesn't have blood at the end of it. Think about what I'm saying. Cotto versus Pacquiao, blood. There's blood on Pacquiao's face, there's blood on Cotto's face. Cotto versus Margarita, blood. Cotto versus Clotty, blood. He's a bruiser type of boxer. With the skill of boxing, Cotto is that dude. Now, later on in the higher weight classes, against Sergio Martinez, against that Australian kid or New Zealand kid, I can't remember what his name is, not James again, whatever his name is, Daniel Gill, right? He wasn't blooding them up, but he was bruising them. He was stopping them, right? This to tell you how powerful Cotto is. Cotto is not a middleweight, and he was stopping fucking middleweights. All right, Cotto's not a middleweight, but when it comes to super welterweight, Cotto one of the strongest super welterweights you'll ever find in the history of boxing. And his style is a bruiser. He is an attrition and a bruiser style. Cotto's naturally a southpaw. But Cotto fights in the orthodox stance, so his jabbing arm is the strongest arm. Cotto implemented what Oscar De La Hoya wanted to do against Floyd. And by the way, Oscar De La Hoya was another guy that a lot of people perceive to have given Floyd a tough fight. He did bloody Floyd's nose, but Floyd was having fun with him, okay? He was laughing and having fun with Cotto. He wasn't laughing with Cotto. To this day, Floyd said, oh shit, Cotto hit hella hard. As Floyd, who was the hardest hitters he ever was with, and he would say Cotto he has so much respect for Cotto. Floyd has a lot of respect for Cotto. Once you mention Cotto's name with Floyd, Floyd has respect for him. He put respect on that name for a reason, okay? Of all the fights I've ever seen Floyd in, I've never seen him worn down like how it happened with Cotto. It was a battle of attrition. Floyd could not box Cotto. Cotto made him fight him. He made Floyd fight him. And Floyd is a spectacular fight. And then Cotto physically picked up Floyd. When Floyd tried to clinch him, Cotto physically picked him up. And Floyd was up in the air, okay? The other time, I think it was 11th or 12th round, Floyd was throwing a punch, and Cotto physically floored Floyd. Floyd, he just bodied Floyd because he was really up in Floyd's grill. Okay, Floyd was landing a lot of punches, and Cotto just walking through that shit and just bodying him, right? And Cotto just physically flipped Floyd, and Floyd went bam into the ropes. That was the 11th round. Y'all think Cotto no fucking joke. Cotto is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Cotto ain't no joke. When I looked at that fight, and then the other thing about Cotto, I'm very impressed with Cotto, okay? That's why I'm talking like this. The other thing about that fight, I'm gonna tell y'all, the fighter that Canelo never gave Floyd problems because Canelo was green to some degree. Floyd had more experience. Cotto had almost the same experience as Floyd. Cotto had been through it all, okay? He'd been cheated, right? He took a contract agreement where he was drained, all right? Cotto was putting on great fight against Pacquiao. He was hitting Pacquiao and shit, but he couldn't go the distance because motherfucker was drained, right? So in the later rounds, usually when you're drained, in the later rounds you get... Now Pacquiao, to his credit, was boxing beautifully, okay? He caught... Early on when he dropped Cotto and shit, that wasn't because Cotto was weight drained. It was because he outsmarted Cotto, right? But what I'm saying is that Cotto would have made the distance in that fight. He was, I don't think he would have gotten dropped. Cotto don't get dropped. Nobody's dropped Cotto. The only people to drop Cotto is the Cheetah Margarito and Manny Pacquiao. Nobody else in boxing. Fucking Canelo did not drop Cotto. Something was wrong. That wasn't the Cotto, right? So anybody who's a Cotto fan, and I know there's people out there who Cotto fans, yo, I understand. This motherfucker brought it every fucking fight. Okay, I thought Mosley beat him, though, down the stretch. It was a close fight, though. Cotto did outbox him. But, shit, Cotto, y'all. Cotto. Let me go into it more. So Floyd was ready for Cotto. Floyd was experienced when he faced Cotto. Floyd was at his best when he faced Cotto because Floyd had been at 154 before. He had faced Oscar De La Hoya, who was another heavy puncher who had been at middleweight, had fought at middleweight, came back down to 154. His best weight at the time was dominating 154, and Floyd beat him, okay? And he was at a disadvantage with a lot of things. So when you look at it, it really speaks a lot to the smaller Floyd. In the case of Cotto versus Mayweather, Floyd had prepped for Cotto. He expected this kind of fight. But when you look at that fight, Cotto came on strong in the latter half of the fight. The 6th round was a Cotto round. Okay, Floyd got the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. The crowd started getting into it because he was hitting Floyd with some beautiful straight lefts, and sometimes he would go southpaw and hit him home runs with the left hand. Okay, it would go into the body, it would go into the head. Some of the punches, they weren't clean punches. But he was landing them body shots, and he done thudding fucking body shots. Sometimes he throw a 3-4 punch combination to the body. Floyd was landing his shit too, don't get it wrong. But of the two, Mayweather was the smaller guy, and he literally is the smaller guy in that fight, which is a credit to Mayweather, a big credit to Mayweather, okay? But Cotto, when he ripped those shots, even if they didn't catch Floyd flush, this shit was doing damage. When we saw Floyd in that fight, I'd never seen this before. His face was blood. There was blood all over his face. He was fighting, all right? But his face was bloodied. Nobody did that shit to Floyd. Nobody. But it's a credit to how gritty and tough Floyd was. He was fighting back. Floyd was like the wasp. He was stinging. But Cotto was the fucking dog. He was biting. He would bite out a piece of you. Cotto wasn't no fucking joke. You could be blocking his punch. Better you just kind of let him swing and miss than you let him hit. But there was very rare times when Cotto would swing and miss. He would always hit something. All right? He always hit something. This was a fight in which Cotto was able to wear down Floyd some. Floyd sucked it up, and in the 12th round, he took this fight. This fight was 7-5. This was a 7-5 fight. Cotto came on a little too late, but it was because he tried to figure out Floyd. Floyd was tagging his ass up in the first early rounds. He came on a little too late, kind of like what Castillo came on a little too late. But the difference is Castillo did not bloody up Floyd's face, and Floyd had a problem in the first fight, right? In this fight, unlike Castillo, Castillo's a guy that will make you fight as well, but Floyd just had way too much skill for him. And of course, Floyd was moving excessively in that fight, in my opinion. He would circle out and just go way out and then reset, right? And Castillo would allow him to do so. And Castillo had great counterpunching skills as well, as Cotto does. But the difference is, when Cotto started putting on the fucking heat on Floyd, he couldn't circle out. He couldn't box him in the center of the ring. Cotto was on his ass for the entire of the latter part of the fight. He was on his ass. Yes, Floyd was landing some punches on Cotto. All right, it wasn't as easy to land on Cotto because Cotto was still getting out of the way and slipping right in front of him. He would slip some of the punches and duck under him. But the fucking bruiser, strong, strapping motherfucking Cotto, man, the physical presence, this motherfucker was strong. You know, we were thinking, I remember in the 12th round when Floyd hit Cotto with the uppercut, and Cotto buckled a bit, and he kept coming. He was on his ass to the final bell. Cotto would not be denied. He was like, I can take your shit. I'm coming. Cotto was on him. Cotto was on him. He didn't have no moment when Cotto was on him, all up in the ropes and shit. When Cotto got on the ropes, he went to work. Of course, Floyd had better body positioning. Floyd was, don't get me wrong, Cotto might have been stronger than Floyd, but Floyd was fitter than Cotto. What do I mean by that? Floyd was more in control of his body than Cotto was. Floyd got better body position than Cotto did, but it didn't matter. Cotto was putting that weight, his size, his body down on Floyd. It was tiring Floyd out. And you could see Floyd in the corner sometimes, just watching his corner, and you could see his face, his eye, these things here, they go up in the air, telling you he in a fucking fight. He knew he was in a fucking fight, okay? He had all that experience. He had all that strength, and still Cotto made him fight. He made him fight in the corners, in the center of the ring. And Floyd would push Cotto back. And the other thing was, sometimes Floyd was walking down Cotto. Cotto would allow Floyd to walk him down so he could set his trap. His major weapon, Cotto's major weapon was his jab. So he counterpunched with his jab. And since it's the lead hand is closest to you, it's going to get there much faster than, and so he popped Floyd's head back with a jab. When Floyd, he would set the trap, he'd be walking, he's Floyd's walking him down, shit, getting him to the ropes, then the jab just come out of nowhere. He popped it to the head, he popped it to the body. He set traps too. Cotto set his own traps in his own way. You know what I'm saying? He used the tools he had. He was very effective against Floyd because they had a hell of a game plan. The problem with it was he couldn't figure out Floyd fast enough to implement the game plan. And I mean, he gave Floyd everything Floyd could ever handle. And Floyd stepped up to the plate. And in the 12th round, he took the 12. He knew he took the first 6 because Floyd took the first 6, or the first 5, sorry, the first 5, because Cotto took the 6th round. And then he got 7. So he knew anything happens, this fight's a draw. He just needed one more round to win, kind of like Castillo fight. But it was different. Castillo didn't put that kind of pressure on Floyd. I mean, Castillo was body to body. He wasn't right up in there throwing body punches and shit. He didn't bear down his weight on Floyd. Man, Augustus did that. He was a bigger dude. He was bearing weight down on Floyd, and he was slipping and bobbing and weaving. I mean, man, Augustus was harder to hit than Cotto. Yeah. The problem with it was that Emmanuel Augustus wasn't as big as Cotto. Cotto could take Floyd's punches. In fact, in the first round, Cotto's head was already marked up by punches by Floyd. And his face turned out to be bloody all here, all up here. Floyd had blood Cotto had blood all over his face, but Floyd's face was a fucking mess. I mean, there was blood everywhere. His whole face looked like it was just blood. I don't even know how them body punches must have hurt like shit after. Floyd, anytime Floyd mentions Cotto's name, he got the utmost respect for that guy. And even at the end of the fight, talking to Cotto, he was like, "You fucking tough, man. You were one tough motherfucker." Cotto was like, "Yeah, of course." Cotto cool as ever, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, "Yeah, you tough too." You know what I'm saying? Unlike Zab Judah, who took a beating against Cotto, Floyd was able to have that kind of defense and there's that boxing IQ where he could pivot off to the side and deflect some of the power of Cotto. But he was being worn down. Cotto was being worn down as well by Floyd. But I mean, you guys need to go watch that fight again. The problem with that fight, why a lot of people don't they don't understand how bruising that fight is. Kind of like with guys like Sergey Kovalev fights as well, until you see the knockout, is that Cotto hits you with power punches that are thudding and is a kind of dead power. Like he hit you, he's so solid, his bone mass and everything so solid. When he hits you, you don't realize how hard he hit you. Like he hit Floyd and bust his nose open, like fucked up his nose. His nose was broken immediately, right? He broke his nose. But a lot of people don't realize, they're saying, "Oh, Floyd rolled that." No, he didn't fucking roll that. He got hit and he was snapping back. He was snapping back out of the punch and that punch still broke his nose. Do you guys get what I'm saying? He was doing everything right. He was catching the shots and shit. Cotto would hit him with sometimes a hip shot, sometimes he hit him with a body shot. Cotto would, forearm his ass and shit. But Floyd was just physically strong as well. He's stronger than people think, and he get the position on you. The key with Floyd was he used to get the position on you. He was very precise with that in his footwork. So y'all don't understand what kind of beating that motherfucker took from Cotto. But it was just tough. Floyd is tough. It's like Pacquiao versus Thurman. Thurman was hitting Pacquiao with some shit, man. Pacquiao, after the end of the fight, was like, he hit hella hard. You know what I'm saying? But Pacquiao didn't look like he was taking some shit, but he was taking some shit. And you could see Pacquiao slow down as the fight was going on because of the shit he was taking. It was the same kind of fight with Floyd and Cotto. And I dare anyone show me another boxer that did that to Floyd. The only guy, genuinely. And unfortunately for Cotto, the judges didn't see it the way how it should have been. It should have been 7-5. Now, let me tell you why. A lot of people, even the commentary team, some commentators didn't understand what was going on in there. A lot of commentators thought Cotto was being ineffective because Floyd was catching a lot of his combinations at times. They didn't understand. They didn't understand the kind of fight that was going on in there. Cotto was catching Floyd. He wasn't catching him always crisp. He wasn't catching him always clean. So I understand you get scored on clean, effective punches, but every punches was effective. I'm telling you why. One, of course, his jab was on point. His jab was unpredictable. You know, Cotto's jab has always been like a great jab. Okay, but the thing about it was that Cotto was so much physically stronger than Floyd. When Cotto punched Floyd, it would have a much bigger impact on Floyd than if Floyd punched Cotto. And I think a lot of people don't factor that in. It's kind of like Sergey Kovalev. Think of a Sergey Kovalev, but a Sergey Kovalev with that kind of power, but he could do it all. He could box off the back foot. He could fight on the inside. He could fight on the outside. He could fight at mid-range. That was Cotto. He could do it all. And the cool thing about Cotto was he was really a southpaw. So at times Cotto would go southpaw, and, as they say, shift, kind of like a la Gennady Golovkin. He would shift and then land his power left. His left would be a backhand, and he'd go for a home run with that. I saw him go southpaw in that fight. Pivot, go southpaw after he bumped under some punches Floyd was throwing. He got hit with one or two of them. Pivot, go southpaw, and strike Floyd to the pit with one fucking hard left hand. I mean, Floyd felt that because he backed off. Floyd is tough as fuck, though. I mean, the shit that Cotto was doing in there was very, very impressive for a bruiser. Now, the difference between Cotto and Jake LaMotta or Jack Dempsey is Cotto got a unique style. Jake LaMotta and Jack Dempsey were still, the word I'm looking for is, they hit you, but they hit you with a lot more explosiveness than Cotto. Cotto is a bruiser type. Cotto make you, it's a battle of attrition, okay? Cotto could break your rib, but you still won't go down. You know, he could bust up your face, make it puffy, bust up your eye, bust up all your intestines, make you piss blood, but you still got another round to face him with. You still got another round. He hit you with that kind of power, that dead power, that don't knock you out, but sure as hell mess you up. He mess you up, you know what I'm saying? You walking around with a broken rib, but the way how it's broken, just the way how he hit you with the shot, you still could box, so you in pain unless you quit. You in pain, you know what I'm saying? You fighting the fight with pain. Cotto was that kind of fighter. He had that power. He had the show-stopping power. But the way how he applied that show-stopping power, he's not trying to stop you. He's punishing your ass. You know, and he's so big and physically strong, he bruising you at the same time. The only guys Cotto couldn't do that to was Canelo, Mosley. He couldn't do it to Mosley. He couldn't do it to. He couldn't do it to. Well, he couldn't do it to much bigger guys. So guys like Canelo, like I said before, he couldn't do it to, right? But everybody else, if you was a 154 pounder and down, you know, Mosley was a very strong guy. But if you were a 154 pounder and down, Cotto will do you. Because Cotto was a big dude. He, you know, for a 154 pounder, it was a big 154 pounder, very small middleweight. He come in like 155, maybe 160 something. But that was sheer muscle and just power and strength. He was very, very strong. So that's why it was surprising that Margarito beat him. And it was also surprising that Pacquiao beat him. That's why Floyd was like, Pacquiao walking through Cotto? What? Nobody walks through Cotto. You know what I mean? Unless he's physically smaller than you, right? With Canelo, he was smaller than Canelo, and he still boxed him beautifully. Again, Cotto can box. And it was a close fight with Canelo. Nobody has stopped Cotto except for Margarito, who cheated, and Pacquiao, who had him, you know, do this weight clause. Okay. Cotto, I mean, what does Cotto bring to the table? Cotto was able to make the adjustments, even though it took him a while longer to deal with Floyd, because Floyd was hitting him with a lot of punches, and he was trying to find a range with Floyd. And Floyd was very range, of course, and Floyd was very, very strategy. Cotto is a guy that sticks to his game plan. Okay, they have a good game plan. He's gonna stick to it. Sometimes he can't get to the game plan as quickly as he needs to make the adjustments, but he sticks to it. Okay. The only fight I think that Cotto didn't bruise a dude was I think Austin Trout. He didn't bruise Austin Trout. And not to make excuses for Cotto, but I think the loss to Floyd Mayweather affected him so much that he went into the Trout fight with less confidence. And I think that's why he didn't give Trout as much problems as he usually would give a boxer like that. Because Cotto was able to cut off Floyd Mayweather. He was able to cut off the ring against Floyd. And Floyd is gigahertz a better boxer than Trout, right? The problem was he went into the fight with a guy with a similar style as Floyd. But I believe that he was unable, and I think it was confidence. I think his confidence was demoralized after even the results. I mean, Cotto, I think possessing that fight, I think I understand why. The judges had that fight. 117-111, which is 11 rounds to 1. Cotto only won one round? Come on, man. And the other judges scorecard had it 10 rounds to 2. So I could see how Cotto was somewhat disgusted with that. You know, why didn't the judges give him a fair shake? He was coming on strong for more than 2 rounds, man. 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. He took all those rounds. He took all those rounds. That was a Cotto fight, right? And Floyd was the one who had to, you know, he was fighting Cotto's fight. And people say, well, why couldn't he fight his fight? Why couldn't he fight in the center? Because Cotto wasn't allowing him. Cotto was up on him, all true. And Floyd was saying, you know what, man, I'm going to fight you back. I'm going to fight you back. I'm going to try how to fight you, okay? And Cotto was holding his own. And what Floyd, even though Floyd was landing more punches on Cotto, what you guys got to realize is Cotto was wearing down Floyd. He was wearing him down on the inside. And so you can't always you have to look at the effective punches, right? So when you're looking at Floyd throwing those punches on Cotto, Cotto's taking Floyd's punches better than Floyd's taking Cotto's punches, right? In fact, I think Floyd fell. He fell in one of the later rounds. And that showed how much Cotto was bruising him. He was working him, right? Because when you don't have the coordination, you're falling down and shit, it means this other guy is really putting some work on you. You getting some work, you know what I'm saying? I just believe that this fight, by the way, I had Cotto winning round 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And if he won the 12th, they would have drawn the fight. If he had won one extra round in addition to that 12th round, he'd have won. I'm sorry. If he won the 12th, it would have been a draw. If he had won the 12th and one additional round, one of the early additional rounds, which he didn't, he'd have won the fight. Okay? To this day, I don't think anybody else in boxing has given Floyd that much problems. Nobody else. Nobody else in boxing. He was Floyd's toughest fight. Floyd prevailed, showed how tough and gritty he was. And I remember a lot of people saying Floyd lost a step, you know, he's taking too much punishment. Listen, man. Listen. I'm not saying that in a rematch with Cotto, if they ever had one, I feel like the judges scored that fight the way they did so there wouldn't be a rematch. That was a tough fight for Floyd, man. But a tough fight for Floyd. And some people say Floyd made it tough. I disagree. I think that Cotto is that kind of fighter that he makes you fight. Almost all the fights Cotto has been involved in, he makes the fighter fight. He makes you fight. Castillo's a similar kind of fighter in that respect. He's a totally different style, okay? But The fundamentals. Castillo sticks to a game plan. Castillo, when he gets you to the ropes, he tries to work you, but he don't just go in there and smother his work. He keeps the right range. He'll counterpunch you to get into you to land his punches. All right, he's very selective. He has a variety of skills, especially at mid range. He's great at mid range. His inside fighting is okay, but his mid range fighting is excellent. Okay, Cotto is a different kind of fighter. Cotto really is competent in every single range. He can box you on the outside. He's a quality operator on the inside, you know, and he's also a very good mid-range fighter. And Cotto brings something else to the table that's kind of weird. He got a hell of a jab. Cotto got a hell of a jab, you know, and the way how he would come in on Floyd off the jab really was something. It's something that you guys need to really study Cotto, because Cotto, he brought a lot of things to the table that you've never seen in boxing like that before. You know, Cotto had, you know, Cotto was a guy that would shift stances, go to southpaw. He to really get his power punches in, because his power hand was really his left hand, right? But his left hand, he used his left hand so good, it was a great jabber. And then the other thing that I don't really see much in boxing these days is a guy that he hooks, but he hooks. Usually, we talk about right hand, left hook, right? The only other guy I think who does this is Manny Pacquiao, and that is Cotto will hook you, and then he will throw a jab, or he will hook you, and then he will throw the right hand. So that's one of the weirdest things is he does it in reverse. He would throw a hook and then maybe throw a straight shot, or he may sweep the right hand, because Cotto will sweep the right hand. And usually it's not a hook, it's a sweep right hand. So Cotto has these different little things that he do that is unique to me, Cotto. You know, his style is so unique. He got that kind of grimer style. His hands are way out here, his shoulders are broad, you know. And Floyd did a lot to try and smother him and to try and take away his offense. And still, in spite of all of that, Cotto still was effective with his offense. I think that was Floyd's toughest fight. I think Miguel Cotto was his toughest test. I think that it challenged him mentally, physically, and spiritually. And again, just the style is so gritty. It's an attrition style that Cotto has. Like he's a punisher. Like he punishes you. And Floyd was up to it, of course. And Cotto was up to it too. And I just believe that Cotto needs to get credit for that. A lot of people don't talk too much about Miguel Cotto. I saw one person in the question that I threw out to you guys. I saw one person pick Miguel Cotto as the guy that gave Floyd his toughest fight. And indeed, without a doubt, nobody else in Floyd's career, in my opinion, can match what Cotto did with Floyd. I think Floyd was at his best. I think he had all the experience in the world. He knew what he was getting himself into. And in spite of all of that, Cotto still produced. He still performed. He still brought to the table what he does best. And I think the Cotto fight actually prepared Floyd for the Maidana fight. Even though Maidana landed more on Floyd, it was a lot more unorthodox in his boxing. I thought the battle of wills and the battle of intellect and the battle of smarts was more in the Cotto fight, because when Floyd tried to do something to Cotto, with, to blitz him or whatever, Cotto would actually use that opportunity to counterpunch Floyd. Cotto was actually more effective counterpunching Floyd sometimes than getting him on the ropes. But every punch that Cotto hit Floyd with, I know Floyd felt them punches. I know he felt those punches. Floyd's a tough motherfucker. He walked through a punch actually to get Cotto to land a punch. But I think that at the end of the day, I heard a lot of people say how Cotto wasn't the same Cotto and he had faded. Well, that obviously wasn't the case, because after that he went on to become middleweight champion of the world, right? So no, Cotto was Cotto. And I think what y'all guys were seeing, y'all was interpreting it the wrong way. I think Floyd being so flashy looked better than Cotto, But if you pay attention, Cotto was grinding Floyd down, physically on him all the time. He did not let up. And so what you guys were seeing and what we were seeing from afar looked like Floyd was having fun with him. Floyd wasn't having fun with him. Floyd was physically being, in fact, it was a certain point in time when Floyd tried to skip away from Cotto. Cotto blocked off the ropes, blocked him off from escaping, the escape route, dug his head into his chest. Cotto had his head up in Floyd's chest. Floyd's trying to hit him with an uppercut. Cotto would just, you actually hear him say that. And just throw a series of hooks to the body. And he might come with an uppercut on the inside because Cotto does throw uppercuts as well. And that sort of stuff is stuff that y'all don't understand. Floyd be trying to get to the escape route. Cotto not allowing him. He keep him in place, right? And the long pauses when you see both of them jostling with each other on the inside, the long pauses is because Cotto's so big and strong, Floyd can't get the position he wants, right? And they tying up. There was a lot of good inside fighting also going on in there. But people don't appreciate boxing, so they can't understand what's really going on. A lot of people watching the flashiness of Floyd, you know, how sometimes he cracked Cotto with those beautiful shots and shit. And of course, Floyd was very vicious with his shots. But if you pay attention, you see that Cotto was unfazed. Cotto was unfazed. The game plan was going on. He was undeterred. All right, he might back off a little bit and then reset and then bring the pressure again. Not to say that he didn't respect Floyd's power. He did respect it, and he didn't want to get hit. You would see him sometimes do like this, right? And so he didn't want to get hit. It was a chess match. They were playing chess in there. It was high level chess. But what I'm saying is though that Cotto tough. He's a tough motherfucker, and Floyd said that to him. You a tough motherfucker. In a recent interview, some people were asking Floyd Mayweather, or asking him, the guys that he faced. And Floyd, a lot of people say Floyd never faced nobody. And Floyd was like, man, they some tough ass motherfuckers that I faced. He said, they some bad boys. They some bad boys I faced. And I think a lot of people never really understood and appreciated the fact that these guys, you just have to look at them in their element and in their fights and understand how bad these motherfuckers were. And I don't think people appreciate it because people say, oh, it's Floyd Mayweather, he gonna beat the guy. No, it wasn't a guarantee. All right, it took a lot of hard work and preparation and dedication, day after day after day for years to be able to deal with these guys, to be able to prevent them. And it took a lot of smarts too. Sometimes you have a guy, you're doing a 100-meter dash, right? Some guys get out the block faster than other guys. But down the stretch, man, that shit be just like me. I mean, the longer stride guys, they get past them, right? So Floyd got out the gate really quick against Cotto. He got like 5 rounds on him. Same thing with Castillo. He got 4 rounds on Castillo, right? Even though his hand was bad. But down the hoop, hold on a second. Somebody just made a comment. Let me hear this. Shout out to Buster McDonald Westside. Shout out to you, my brother. All the way from where? Are you from LA area? California. I know you're from California or somewhere on the California side. Sacramento. Where are you from, man? Buster McDonald says Cali. What part of Cali, bro? I was down Cali a long time ago, 2008, 10 years ago, something like that. Hold on a second, 12 years ago. Buster McDonald Westside says, LA, all right, shout out to LA. Which part of LA? East LA, which part of LA? Buster McDonald Westside says, Maidana beat Mayweather first time. All right. A lot of people hold your opinion. I understand why you would say that. It was a closer fight than a lot of people anticipated. This is what I suggest to you. When you go back and watch the fight, okay, ask yourself the question, who is in control? Who is fighting their fight? Okay. Now, a lot of people think that Floyd Mayweather is only a guy that just touches you and runs around the ring. That is not who Floyd Mayweather is, okay? Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a pot shot artist, no doubt about it. But he can stand in front of you like a la James Toney, stand right in front of you and pot shot you to death, okay? He can throw combinations as well. You saw Pretty Boy Floyd do it. He can do it. He is Pretty Boy Floyd, even though he don't call himself that. He can throw combinations. His combinations are always varied. But I will ask you, who was in control of that first fight? And by the end of the fight, who was the one landing the punches that mattered? And so I would say that unlike the Cotto fight, okay, unlike the Cotto fight, I believe that Marcus McDonald, hell of a fighter, by the way, Marcus McDonald. I want to see him come back into boxing. Shout out to Marcus Chino Maidana. I had a good time. I was laughing a lot through the fight. And Floyd did look somewhat vulnerable, especially when he got his eye cut. But Marcus McDonald did wear down Floyd, but Floyd also wear down Marcus McDonald. You know what I'm saying? Y'all really talking now. Let me see if I can catch up with you, right? So I'm just explaining, because I said I want to talk to everybody. While Maidana did outwork Floyd, he did slow down. So he started off the fight with throwing 100 punches. By the end of the fight, we were only throwing 50-something punches, if so much, okay, because he had to react to Floyd. Because Maidana was feeling Floyd's punches. That's what deterred him. Floyd was very clinical on the inside to the body. And those punches, in fact, by the end of the first round, Maidana had backed off of Floyd because Floyd landed a big spleen shot followed by a spleen kidney shot, followed by a liver shot, and that backed Maidana the fuck off. And Maidana was like, you know what? This guy is not somebody I could just walk through. This is not a guy I could just walk through. I gotta be careful, okay? Because he was pretty reckless. He was hitting also Floyd behind the back of the head, was rough and rugged. That was a rough and rugged fight, right? That wasn't a battle of attrition. That was more a rough and rugged fight. Maidana threw and hit Floyd probably more than anybody ever hit Floyd in his career. But Floyd responded and also hit Marcus Maidana with a hella shit. And no matter what Maidana says, he said Floyd don't hit as hard as Adrian Broner. So it is not about that. He may not hit as hard as AB, because AB does hit hard. But he sure as hell places his shots very well. And he sure as hell backed your ass up. In the later rounds, Floyd was walking Maidana down. He was hitting him with low blows too. And he was like, shut the fuck up. Because he was complaining to the ref. Maidana was like, come on, ref. And he was like, shut the fuck up and fight. That was good, man. Maidana did everything. I loved the fight. I'm going to tell you why. Maidana did everything. He was worse than Raging Bull. He was worse than Roberto Duran. He butt Floyd. He bit Floyd. He kneed Floyd. He tackled Floyd. He hit him low. He hit him in the thigh. When the referee was like trying to break him, he hit him in the thigh and all kinds of shit. It was great, man. I still look back at the fight. I'm highly entertained. Okay, great fight. You gotta love Marcus McDonald. He knew he couldn't outbox him. So he said, I'm gonna rough your ass up. The problem with it was Floyd was actually physically stronger than him on the inside. Maidana was strong, but he wasn't that strong. So he had to use his forearm, push Floyd's head back and shit. But Floyd physically is stronger than Maidana on the inside. He's not physically stronger than Cotto. He's not physically strong. I can tell you that for a fact. He ain't physically stronger than Cotto, okay? And Cotto will get you on the inside. And Cotto is he's so much more refined. He's a bruiser, okay? Maidana is unorthodox. That's what he got going for him. His timing, his rhythm, his movements are unorthodox. That's what he got going for him. He's much more of a problem to anybody in boxing, let me just say. Amir Khan, he wrecked Amir Khan's nose. He broke his nose in that fight. Amir Khan, I don't know if he was on PEDs or what. Amir Khan made it to the end of that fight. Marcus McDonald was wrecking his ass. Okay, is there anybody that Marcus McDonald never wrecked? I don't think there's any fight where Marcus McDonald hasn't cut someone or damaged them very bad, swollen jaw or some shit. Marcus McDonald is a wrecking ball. You will know you came out of a Marcus McDonald fight. And his face sometimes is clean. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, man, you guys be talking like crazy. So I get you why you say Marcus McDonald was Floyd's toughest fight and you thought he beat him. Um, I get it, but I'm gonna tell you this. In terms of boxing, Marcus McDonald in the later rounds was doing a lot of survival tactics. That's why he bit Floyd. That's why he tackled Floyd, because Floyd was starting to whoop his ass, and he tackled him. He hit him low because even though Floyd had busted his eye, he recovered and he started whooping his ass. So Floyd was getting better on Marcus McDonald. Every time he did, Marcus McDonald was smart enough. It's a veteran tactic. It's smart enough to pause the action so he could get back. He could get a reset. So Floyd had to start all over again. He did it in the second fight too, where Floyd hit him with a beautiful body shot. And Marcus McDonald complained that he got hit low, and the referee stopped the fight and gave Marcus McDonald time. Said, take all the time in the world. Marcus was walking around. He's veteran moves, okay? Buy some time, because your ass getting beat. He's beating your ass. Because see, a lot of people, even George Foreman said this. He said a lot of guys who pot shot and counterpunch and box from the outside, he said they don't really want to get into a war. They can't fight. He said they can't fight. That's not the case with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather boxes the way he does because he doesn't want to take unnecessary punishment. It don't mean he can't take it. It don't mean if he got to go straight street fighting war, he can't do it. He can do it, okay? We saw it with Pretty Boy Floyd. He just chose not to do it so he wouldn't take unnecessary punishment. He looking for a way to come out clean. Muhammad Ali used to say when he was Cassius Clay, he used to say, look how pretty I am. Look how pretty I am. They ain't touching me. Floyd want to make that statement. He want to say, they ain't touching me. So Floyd would box a fight where he don't have to take that unnecessary punishment. So that when he come out the fight, he can go party, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Canelo's another fighter like that. If you guys paying attention, he can take a punch, but he's got his D on point. He be walking to you while he got his D up tight. Okay, and that's what a lot of people are talking about. Canelo versus Golovkin. My boy, just to go into Canelo, because Canelo is the next. In fact, let me just say, in all of the associations right now, globally, the Ring, Boxing Writers Association of America, Transatlantic Boxing Board, BoxRec, all of the rating bodies in boxing right now have Canelo as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world at present. Okay? All right, he was the one that the torch was supposed to be passed to. Yeah, okay. So he was competitive with Floyd, but he was outclassed. Floyd was winning, rounds very easily with him. It appeared, because Floyd just had so much more experience. But Canelo, is cut of that cloth. Just recently, Canelo said his favorite fighter of all time is Muhammad Ali. He said Sugar Ray Robinson teaches him a lot, technically. And you can see some of the Sugar Ray Robinson moves. You can see he and Ryan Garcia are Sugar Ray Robinson fans. Again, I don't knock him. I mean, if you like Sugar Ray Robinson, or Ryan Garcia said he thought that Mayweather was beaten by Castillo. Again, I don't knock him. I understand why they say that. I don't agree with him, but but I understand why they would say that. Ryan Garcia and Canelo, even though they feast off of Floyd in the background, they will not acknowledge him because of Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, the fact that Canelo got his ass beat by Floyd. They will not acknowledge him. But are they fans of Floyd? Fuck yes. Anybody saying that, oh, yeah, Floyd's a... No, listen, low key, them motherfuckers watch everything Floyd do. They came to his fights. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Them guys are Floyd fans. All right? Right? I told you guys I like Mike McCallum personally. I like Mike McCallum, but don't get it twisted. I am a Floyd Mayweather Jr. fan, and I studied him, and I still to this day, I'm trying to figure out a way to beat him. And I'm telling y'all, Miguel Cotto was the closest. He came closest to beating Floyd. Because what he did, he had the size advantage on him. He was bodying him. When you got a guy that's smaller than you, to wear him down, you got to physically push your weight in your body. Physically, you got to impose your weight on him. That means you might take a couple punches, but you got to physically impose your weight on him. Cotto was doing that. Castillo didn't do it. Maidana, he did it somewhat, but he wasn't physically as strong as Floyd. Floyd was stronger than him. physically, right? Bigger than Floyd, but Maidana, like Floyd, came from a low weight class. He came from a high weight class, and he came from super lightweight. And I don't think that Maidana had fully acclimatized to welterweight yet, right? So he couldn't really fully bully Floyd like he wanted to. He was physically bigger than Floyd in the fight, but I thought Floyd was physically stronger than him because of the things that Floyd was doing. Even though he was roughing up Floyd and everything, he still had to put effort into it. Cotto, shit, Cotto would body you. He just be up on you. He not forcing himself on you. He just physically stronger than you. So he bodying you and pushing you around the ring. And the skill he used to push Floyd around the ring, to maneuver him around the ring to the ropes, first class. The skill, because it was skill for skill. Cotto don't have the skills like Floyd. Floyd don't have the skills like Cotto either. But I'm just saying, that jab Cotto have is just a thing of beauty. But what I'm saying is that, let me just get to you guys because let me answer your question. So yeah, I understand why you would say Maidana. Woo, we got a lot of people talking. Let me see if I can get to you guys. Ooh, you guys just came down like boom. I don't know where you guys came from, but shout out to Buster McDonald West for that question. Floyd was top inactive in that fight. I don't know what that means. I think you mean that he wasn't throwing enough. I think he was throwing enough. I think that he was very accurate with what he was throwing, even though he missed a lot of punches against Maidana. Maidana had a decent, underrated defense. But I think what got the judges was his eye-catching shots. He would catch Maidana, throwing the jab, overextending, and then he would just come back with a pull counter, bam, and knock Maidana's head back. Of course, Maidana is pulling back from the shot as well. But, the home run that he would set him up with, it would take the round sometimes. Maidana did a whole set of work, and that one eye-catching shot, made it more effective. And the reason it also was effective, because Maidana does have decent defense. Maidana would move backwards. Maidana being the aggressor, and then all of a sudden, boom, Floyd would catch him. And the other thing was Floyd stopped staying on the ropes as long. He started to go to the center of the ring, and the fights were more to the center of the ring. Once they got to the ropes, Maidana seemed to have the advantage. Again, Maidana is a much more crowd-pleasing, exciting, explosive fighter. So he would go whack, 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 whack. He got his big old looping shots, bum, bap, 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 bap. So you see it, it's eye-catching. Cotto was more of a bruiser. Like I say, he's a bruiser. He's physically and he's he's pushing you around, and then he's sneaking in those little body shots, and he's really pushing you around, imposing himself. He's hitting you with the shin. Sometimes he hit you with the forearm. It's sneaky. He's very sneaky, but he's also gritty, grimy. He's breaking you down. He's like a Sergey Kovalev, but think of Sergey Kovalev with inside game, with mid-range game. He's got that thudding, cracking, painful shot. He's like Ronald Gavril. He's not knocking you out with a shot. He could if he changed his technique a bit, but he's not there to do that. He's there to bruise you, beat you down. Like I say, he's a bruiser type. He will bloody you up. He will beat. Maidana didn't bloody up Floyd. He didn't bloody up Floyd. Floyd had a little cut on his eye. That was about it, right? Floyd was bloodied against Cotto. Now, Floyd's a tough motherfucker. He don't cut like that, right? But against Cotto, he was bloody. He was bleeding through his mouth and his nose, okay? That's shit that only Cotto could do. And that's why I say I respect Cotto. And by the way, the Cotto fight happened before the Maidana fight. So I thought the Cotto fight prepared. So, okay, let's just go through these comments because you guys got to get your say, all right? I want you guys to say what you got to say. So, let me get to these guys. Buster Mathis West 2. Buster Mathis West said Floyd was inactive in that fight too, meaning he didn't have as much offense. He had defense, but he didn't have as much. And by the way, Maidana was able to get around the shell defense, right? Floyd had to make an adjustment. He had to dip a la Pernell Whitaker to try and get out some of them shots. Because Maidana, he would slip to the side and come with an uppercut or with a left hook to the body after Floyd dipped to the right, right? Steve Smash says Pacquiao was robbed. Floyd ran around the whole ring every time he was robbed. I guess Steve Smash is a Pacquiao fan. Buster McDonald West. Let me just address that because it don't matter. If Pacquiao ain't landing on Floyd, what does it matter? Like, y'all thought he was running around the ring. I didn't think he was running. I thought that y'all need to watch the younger Floyd Mayweather fights, especially the first Castillo fight. You'll see Floyd make a big circle around the ring. Floyd wasn't doing that shit. He was right in front of Pacquiao the entire night. Backed him up a couple times. So I don't think that Floyd was running in that fight at all. He was right. He was right there in front of Pacquiao. But Pacquiao just couldn't get to him. He was check hooking him all the time and spinning out and then standing in the center of the ring in front of him again. So Pacquiao, let's talk about Pacquiao a little bit because we're comparing to Cotto. Pacquiao depended on setting traps to get you. Pacquiao's not really a guy to go get you. He's not a go get you fighter, right? So both guys, Floyd and Pacquiao, are actually smart counterpunchers. Pacquiao had to set a trap to get you to fall for that trap in his preferred range to really get you. That's why Pacquiao had difficulty getting to Floyd. All right? Because that's not his game. Freddie Roach was devising a game for Pacquiao, and it was a clever game, but it was not one in which Pacquiao feel comfortable doing because that's not what Pacquiao does. Pacquiao don't hunt down fighters. Okay? He hurts you, then he will hunt you down. But other than that, he's not just going to hunt you down. If you look at the 2 occasions when Pacquiao called Floyd flush, in fact, there are 3 occasions. It was the 8th round, it was the 6th round, and the 4th. They were all counterpunches. Okay, Floyd had thrown a shot, but it was a jab, right? Usually it was a jab. And Pacquiao would come with that left. The first time, he caught him with a counter left to split the guard. That caught Floyd. Floyd saw the punch coming, so he braced for it, and that's why he did. If he didn't see it, he would have gotten knocked down. Okay. A second time, Floyd was throwing a lazy jab to Pacquiao, and Pacquiao looped the left, came over the same shot that knocked out Ricky Hatton, and caught Floyd to the side of the head, and Floyd buckled. It buckled him. All right. The third time I can remember in the fight was in the 8th round, where Pacquiao got weak side position on Floyd and doubled up the left hook. I caught Floyd with 2 beautiful left hooks. Floyd saw the punch coming again. He braced for it, and he got hit, boop, boop, and then he turned because Pacquiao kept on catching him on the pivot. He would get to weak side, pivot around him, boom, boom, right? Sometimes he throw the right hook, and then boom, boom, right? And he's very quick. Pacquiao is very explosive. But Pacquiao doesn't do well. He's not a Miguel Cotto in that respect. Some people say he don't have a good jab. He has a good jab. He has an effective jab because his jab is usually to bait and counter. But he can also catch you with a nice, beautiful, straight jab, right? Because he covers distance so fast, he's able to shoot that jab. He springs off his legs and boom, he catches you with the jab like a shotgun jab, okay? He's a small guy, so the pop that Pacquiao has is nothing like a Cotto pop. Cotto's pop is different to a Pacquiao pop. It's quick, it's sharp, it's fast, and it's a pop, okay? It may not be the hardest shot you ever felt in your life, but it's very effective because it's so quick. You don't expect it. Your body's relaxed. It's so fast. It's just real quick, right? He got hard hands. You can see his bone structure is really solid. So that a small guy like Pacquiao, he actually hit you enough pop to traumatize your nervous system to cause you to shut down. But you don't feel it. Like you listen to Oscar De La Hoya, he said it's like a mosquito. It's like a fly, okay? Mosley, he didn't feel he got hit that hard, but it traumatized the system because it was so fast and sharp and explosive, and he covered ground so quick. You don't expect him to reach you, and then he's there, okay? So Pacquiao's a guy, again, he caught Mosley when Mosley was throwing a jab. He caught Oscar when every time Oscar throw a jab, that's when, but he made Oscar keep his hands at home. I mean, it was phenomenal what he did with Oscar, even though Oscar was weight drained, obviously, in that fight. But yeah, and Diego Corrales was weight drained in his fight against Mayweather. But if you notice with Diego Corrales versus Mayweather, Corrales was when they stopped that fight, Corrales was, everything. He was fully aware of what was going on. Floyd was knocking him down, mainly I think because one, his reaction time was a little bit too slow, maybe because of the weight drain. Also, he would catch him with a punch, and again, your nervous system. Sometimes it's not the biggest punch in the world, but it's an unexpected punch you didn't expect, and so it knocks you down. You get what I'm saying? Because Floyd at the time, he wasn't putting a whole set of leverage into his punches. It was the speed, it was the quickness of it that was jarring Corrales' chin and putting him down. You understand? But it wasn't like he was badly hurt. You see what I'm saying? But the velocity of the punch would cause the brain to smash into the skull, shut everything down. So Corrales is taking these traumas all the time, brain trauma, but he feels like he can go on because he's not discombobulated up here. His balance and coordination is still fine. So he just gets back up instantaneously. It's kind of like with Castillo. Castillo knocked him down twice, but he was collective. He was still, that's what Joe Goosen was saying. He was still collective and stuff. And it was like, listen, man, you better get your ass back in the inside there. Right? So that's what it did across. Let me get into so Manny Pacquiao. So I'm breaking it down so you guys can understand. It's not just me giving my likes or whatever. Pacquiao's a guy that didn't do too good in that fight because he had to go get Floyd. Floyd was the one sitting back counter punching him and then getting out of the way. Floyd decided, I'm not trading with this motherfucker on at mid-range because this motherfucker quick. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to have unnecessary damage. I know this motherfucker can punch. So I'm not gonna try to mess with him at mid-range. So he was fighting him with a jab and he was spinning. So what I mean by spinning, he hit him in the second round, he did it in a tremendous way. Pacquiao came launching in off a double jab, boop, boop, right? And Floyd check hooked his ass. And he went flying into the turnbuckle a la Ricky Hatton. All right, he went flying into the turn, and Pacquiao realized, you know what, this shit, I need to figure out a way to get to this dude because this is not going to happen, right? And so Floyd kept on varying range throughout the fight. He'd either bump him with the shoulder, he would roll. So Floyd, if you catch Floyd in the corner, this is something that Floyd do. I studied this guy. Okay, this is something that Floyd would do. Let me go here so you guys can see me better, so you guys can understand. Let me adjust the height a little bit. So I'm actually going to execute a move that Floyd do. I'm not as perfect as Floyd. It'll be from the southpaw stance, okay? So when Floyd's in the corner, all right, you can't see my feet, unfortunately. Think of a tripod stand, a three-pod stand. He's in a pyramid. What I mean by that is Floyd's lead foot is out in front of you. He don't go sideways so you can move into him easily. No, his lead foot is facing you. So let me say, this is my lead foot here. Think of the ropes as somewhere here. Right behind me, somewhere there. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make this so you guys can actually see what I'm saying in three-dimensional space. So you guys will understand. I know what I'm talking about, right? I studied this dude. Hold on a second. When I tell you that I looked for ways to beat this guy, I wasn't playing. That's why we doing these opponents of Floyd Mayweather. Because I look for ways to beat him. I know how to beat Lomachenko, but I don't know how to beat Floyd yet. Shit, I wish I had. Let me do this. All right. This might be the best example I can use, which is using this as the ropes behind me, okay? So let's say this is the ropes behind me here, okay? This is the rope behind me here. All right? See that? That's the ropes, right? You know what? I wish I could hang this shit up somewhere so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, never mind. I'll take too much time. Okay, think of the window behind me as the ropes, okay? The window behind me there, that's the window, it's the ropes, okay? So when Mayweather's coming up against the ropes, here I am, right, he's at an angle like this. So the ropes are there, but he's at an angle like this. That means he's facing you, sort of, okay? He's at an angle. He's always to the, if you're coming in on him, he's always to the, left of you? He'll be to the left of you. Okay? So he's off to the left like this, but his shoulder is pointing at you to the left. He's leaning back like this. So he's in a pyramid. Okay? His lead foot is still facing you. You have to go around his lead foot and come this way to catch him with a hook. Because this is what he does. He shuffles at an angle to you. So he's like in a pyramid with the front spoke of the pyramid facing you. You got to get past his foot, okay? Marcos Maidana was effective because Marcos Maidana would dupe Floyd, okay? He dupe him. Floyd would be leaning back this way. He dupe him into trying to counterpunch him this way. So he would feint. He would feint as if he's going to throw a jab. Then he'd come over the top with a right hand. So he would come, Marcos Maidana would come in down low, keeping it down low. Hold on a second. Let me show you from here. So Marcos Maidana be here. I'm really squatted in. But he'd be coming in down low, double jab, right? But in this case, he would feint like if he's going to throw a double jab, and then he'd come over the top with a right. Okay? You can't see all that, but that's too bad. Pacquiao gang got no strategy. He doubled up the jab, okay, to come in on Floyd. He doubled up the jab. Okay, hold on a second. Right, so Pacquiao game plan was to double up the jab and then come in off of it. Even if he's coming in on Floyd always facing him. I remember Virgil Hunter saying, once Floyd keep this jab to line himself up with Pacquiao, it don't matter what so-called great angle Pacquiao is coming with, Floyd would cut off the angle. So what happened was, Pacquiao would try to come in on weak side on Floyd, and Floyd would just face him. And when Pacquiao doubling up the jab, Floyd's in line with the jab, and then he would just check hook him and pivot. He pivot out the way. Check hook and pivot out the way. And that nullified Pacquiao trying to get to the inside. And Pacquiao tried all kinds of things to get to the inside, and he couldn't get to the inside. You see? And that was the problem. Marcos Maidana and Pacquiao, they said Pacquiao should throw a feint. So Pacquiao would throw a feint, change position. And so by feinting, he'd get Floyd to do this. Floyd would be here, and Floyd would do like this. But the thing about Floyd is this, and so let me show you something else. Y'all can't really see this, but this is a trick that Floyd used all the time. It's a mixture of Pernell Whitaker and guys like Georgie Benton and all these great 60s fighters. Floyd do something that's a combination of two styles. So if you coming in on Floyd, you reach in on him, you're now in his space, Floyd will rock back this way, okay? And then roll under or dip. He may dip or he may roll under, and when he's coming up on you, he will bump you with the shoulder and push you off him. Right? And as he's doing that, he can do the way of escape through a pivot. So he can pivot out the way. Cuban boxers do it, but not all of them, because a lot of them don't infight. Okay? So that's something, if you go watch the fights, you see. That's why Floyd doesn't have to move around the ring excessively. Take it with Thomas Hearns. His main defensive weapon is his jab. Okay? Hearns will keep you off with the jab. Sergey Kovalev, his main defensive weapon is the jab. You get past the jab, he ain't got no game until he reached 168, where Hearns started showing you inside game. He could fight on the inside after that. He really was displaying that. But Hearns don't really got nothing. And most of the guys you guys call runners, or the outboxers, like Erislandy Lara, like who else don't have inside game? Darrell Coley, okay? Darrell Coley, and so on. Them guys, they don't have inside game. So they will keep you off with the jab. Jab right hand, right? They keep you at bay. So a guy who's a Mexican fighter, for example, who can get past their jab, you know, by bobbing and weaving, right? They get to the inside, they're gonna have a field day because they ain't got no, they have no response. They have nothing for you. They can't do you nothing on the inside. So they gotta fight now. And you see the guys, once they get to the ropes, a lot of guys when they get their backs to the rope, including Sugar Ray Leonard to some degree, even though Sugar Ray Leonard could also roll punches, both shoulders. But including Sugar, they would fight off the ropes. When Marvin Hagler was really imposing his will on Sugar Ray Leonard, pressuring, Sugar Ray Leonard started going, right, left combination, right? He started throwing those right, left combinations. But Sugar Ray Leonard was so much faster than Thomas Hearns that Hearns was just moving in slow motion. Not Hearns, sorry, man. Hagler. Hagler was moving in slow motion. Hagler was embarrassed because Sugar Ray Leonard beat his ass, okay? Sugar Ray Leonard beat him, okay? But Leonard also on the inside, sometimes he would stay on the inside with Hearns. And again, he bumped him with the shoulder, okay? And he would stay on the inside with the shoulder, and then he would throw his combinations, bop, 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 right? He'd throw one or two, 3-punch combinations on the inside, and then he would keep on and really rip him, okay? Because he was so much smaller than Hearns. Hagler, sorry. But my point being anyway, without going into all of that stuff there I just said, the point is Pacquiao didn't have what it takes to beat Mayweather because he had to adopt a style that was not characteristic of what Pacquiao does. They wanted to make Pacquiao make a fight with Mayweather because they'd seen him do devastating knockouts. It was very exciting, but they didn't understand that Pacquiao is a similar fighter to Floyd. He's a counterpuncher. He counterpunches at a specific range, but he's a counterpuncher, okay? His thing is to catch you by surprise. He's explosive. He's quick. That's why anybody who says Pacquiao was robbed against Mayweather, Mayweather was running, don't understand boxing. They just don't understand boxing. You got it? So I'm breaking it down, explaining it to you, demonstrating it to you, so you will understand why Pacquiao lost to Mayweather, okay? And no knock on Pacquiao. Pacquiao is very good at what he does, but I hate to say it this way, he's a somewhat limited fighter. Like he has to fight at a particular range. He's not an outboxer. He'll never outpoint you on the outside. He'll never outpoint you on the outside. And he ain't really a guy that's on the inside mixing it up with you, bodying you and shit like that. He's not that. He's a mid-range fighter. Do you guys understand now why Pacquiao did not beat Floyd? Why this was always going to be an easy fight for Floyd? Styles make fights. All right? Okay. So style-wise, Pacquiao, you match up Pacquiao with Floyd, 9 times out of 10, Floyd beats Pacquiao. Unless Floyd is not used to the speed of Pacquiao. And the surprising thing is, if you give Pacquiao just that right little range, just that right little angle, he'll exploit it. Because he's very good at mid-range. He does what he does, and he does it exceptionally well. Keith Thurman gave him that opportunity, let his foot off the gas, lapsed in concentration because he assumed that Pacquiao couldn't cover the ground. Bam, Jesse Vargas, when he was fighting Pacquiao, didn't see Pacquiao cover the ground so fast with that left hand. Boom, he was on the canvas. Chris Algieri thought he understood Pacquiao, didn't understand that Pacquiao could cover distance like that. Boom. All right, Pacquiao gets the right angle. You think you in fighting him. You think you got him now. You sorted him out. Boom, he'll drop your ass. Just like that. Pacquiao's great. All right, but he's got limitations to what he can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. He still can win. Bigger Cotto got limitations to what he could do. Floyd got limitations to what he could do. But they got more versatility, much more variety. They can do many different things. You understand? So it's that's why we talk about skills play the bills. Skills allow you to have, of course, at the highest level, you got to have, you have to develop those skills to the level at which they are high level skills. You can't just have skills, okay? You can have a lot of skills. Sean Porter has a lot of skills, okay? But that doesn't mean that they're developed to a high level where he can really exploit against a premier fighter who has home skills, okay? So what I'm saying is, so you guys will understand again boxing, and again, people who will back me up on this are like Coach Eric Bradley, who actually does boxing, Barry Robinson, they attest to the fact that what I'm saying makes sense and it's true because I'm quoting them. Okay. But honed skills, a guy who has more honed skills is able to do more, is able to adapt better, is able to he at least he has the potential if he uses them right, he has the potential to have an advantage of a guy who has less skills, home skills, because he can mix it up a little bit more. See? So that's where a lot of you guys knock Andrew Ward, you guys knock Floyd Mayweather, even some of you are knocking Canelo, not understanding these guys have developed and honed skills such that they can do a lot of different things in the ring. So Canelo will come to different fights and he'll present different things in different fights. Floyd can give you, he can box you toe to toe. He can bang with you. He can outbox you. He can box you from the outside. That is, outbox you. He can fight at mid range. So with all the terrain, if you are, say, somehow, because you're a specialist in one of the ranges, let's say you are starting to beat him at, say, fighting him, or beat him at fighting him at a certain range, he could take that away from you and say, okay, that's what you do good. Now let's see if you can do this in this terrain. Let's see if you can handle these kinds of skills. They can change it up. Andrew Ward did the same thing. Kovalev was beating his ass from outside. So Andrew Ward was like, let me find my way to the inside. Let me see how he does on the inside. Okay? And that's where Andrew Ward wanted to fight. He got to the inside and he wanted to fight that way. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of you guys need to understand. That's why I say you need to understand the science of boxing. You need to understand the technical side of boxing. All right? Because that helps you to understand what's going on in the ring when the fights are actually going on. Yes, you need to also understand the will. If a guy's, because you can be very skilled, but your will is broken. And then what does it matter? Your confidence is gone. You don't see yourself beating the guy. Guillermo Rigondeaux, very skilled fighter, didn't see himself beating Lomachenko. He quit, right? Y'all are mad at him. But he couldn't see himself beating Lomachenko, and he didn't see where it made sense to go on. So instead of pushing and having that will to win and saying, I will find a way to beat this guy somehow, some way, or else I go out on my shield, he decided, no, this ain't worth it, and he quit. Okay? A lot of y'all gonna go in on Guillermo Rigondeaux for that. Me personally, I understand. I'm not a boxer. Okay? I'm not taking them punches. He was getting punches every left, right. His head was getting bobbed upside the head, so he decided to quit. And credit to Lomachenko for making him confused as hell and decide, you know what, this ain't worth my time. All right? Because Lomachenko really didn't, Guillermo Rigondeaux really didn't take that kind of punishment before. So what happens when you are now the recipient of the punishment? What do you do? And to see, that's the difference between a Guillermo Rigondeaux and a Floyd Mayweather. I remember there was times where people were saying, Guillermo Rigondeaux, he a better fighter than Floyd Mayweather. And I was like, no, he's not. He don't got that kind of experience. And experience is another major key in boxing, because experience means you've seen all these different styles, and you've seen all these different mindsets, and you've seen all these different fighters, the different sizes of fighters, different heights of fighters, different dimensions of fighters, different attitudes of fighters, different game plans of fighters. When you've seen all this kinds of stuff, it really works in your advantage for the fight that you're about to be presented. And then Floyd has been at the highest level of boxing for a very long time. So when he says, I've been here before, I know what it takes with a fight of this magnitude, what he's basically saying is, at this top tier fight where everybody's going to be watching, where the whole world's going to be watching, I've been down this road before. And that's big because it's a performance. So when you're fighting another guy in the ring, the whole world's watching, you're aware of this. And you may be a great fighter, for instance, in the boxing gym, but then the pressure put on you as a performer, as an entertainer, now that pressure's put on you. You could seize up in the moment because it's just so many people just coming to see you, root for you, or root against you, and you want to put on the best performance possible. That pressure could come down on you and you don't perform at all. The energy could work against you and you could feel drained in the fight and you ain't doing shit in the fight. You're trying to say, man, we did all this stuff in the gym. Why are you doing that, right? And remember, boxing is 90% mental, 10% physical. I keep on explaining this over and over to you guys. There's more to it than speed and power and strength and size. It's what's going on between these two ears here. That makes the difference. All right? And it's not just will. It's not just about, oh, man, I give up. Man, I'm going to fight, and give up. That's not all to it, man. Boxing's a clever sport. Guys, all guys, learn clever things in boxing all the time. I don't care if you are a guy that everybody says a club fighter. You're learning little tricks. That's what makes you effective. Just setting up the KO is a trick. You have to trick the other guy to knock him out. Okay? So it's not what you think it is. It is a lot of people say boxing is a thinking man sport. It's a thinking man sport. It's not street fighting. If a boxer meets a street fighter, right? He knows this guy can use his foot, he can use his hands, he can tackle him, etc. All right? He's not going to go in there and make himself vulnerable. He understands range. He understands people lunging at him. He's seen other boxers lunging at him. And he knows if this guy lunges at him, he could grapple him or grab him. If you know that this guy's a grabber and shit, you're going to make sure you're pinpoint accurate. When he comes in lunging in, especially if he don't know his chin, he never got his chin checked. Where are you going for? What's the most vulnerable spot on the body when a guy's lunging in? Other than his liver, other than his solar plexus, where you want to just stop his wind and have him huddle down on the ground with a simple spear jab that will stop any assault, or not spear jab, sorry, a jab to the pit, nice strong jab to the pit that stops him in his tracks, and then you hit him that right hand, left hook that just puts him to sleep. I mean, you know, street fighting and boxing is two different things, man. You think a boxer's going to go out into a street fight and just let some street fighter beat him? It doesn't work like that. You know you are good at using your hands and feet to punch. That's what you do. You're going to set up a situation so that you can punch. First things you're going to do if you are a boxer is you're not going to put yourself, especially if the person has a weapon, you're not going to put yourself in a range, because boxers know about range, okay? You're not going to put yourself in a range or position where this guy could hit you at will. You're not going to do that. The guy doesn't understand combat like how you might understand combat, all right? But you have to assume that this guy understands combat better than you. You have to treat him as a real threat. You can't be thinking this is Joe Blow off the street. This is just a cab driver. You can't think like that. Because it's life or death. You could die from this. This guy could be carrying a handgun or something. So you're sizing him up, but you're not doing nothing. You're just making sure that you keep range. So if he steps, you step. If he's stepping forward, you step backwards, because you don't know what he's carrying on this person. You step at an angle so that you know if he's got something, you don't know if he's right-handed or left-handed. So you have to test him like that real quick. All right, you got to watch his feet. If he comes charging at you, right? This is where the street fighting comes into play and boxing. You've got the pivot work to handle that shit, right? See, a lot of people think it's about kicking. Kicking will help. No, kicking don't help. You don't even need to be Steven Seagal. For those of you who know who Steven Seagal is, did hardly use his feet. He used Aikido. Hardly used his feet. He used his hands. Redirect people. Snap their hands, break their necks and shit, right? Hardly use his feet. So a boxer don't need to use his feet to kick people. He don't. It comes in handy. But you don't need to use your feet to kick somebody. A simple, straight mic carry. A simple mic carry. A simple straight kick as a guy's advancing you. I kick him to his solar plexus, could throw a guy down on the ground. It's just the timing. I know, because I did street fighting. I did self-defense. Okay? So especially a guy charging at you, he ain't in control of his body. He's not in balance. He's off balance. He's reaching in. That's a recipe for a knockout. Knock his ass out. I don't care if he's 300 pounds, 400 pounds. Our chin is a chin. You check his chin, he go to sleep. And you've seen it with guys who are not even amateur boxers. They're just simple boxers who check guys who are footballers. You can just go up on YouTube and check it right now. Okay? So boxing is a whole other level of fighting. I know there's MMA, I know there's mixed martial arts. That's a totally different story. A guy who knows what he's doing, you know, in terms of martial arts, he could kick a boxer's ass in the street fight. I'm sure. Yeah, I absolutely could see that happening. if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get knocked the fuck out. I don't care what tools you have. You can even be packing a gun. Okay? You can even point the gun at the boxer. All right? If the boxer's within range, you're going to get fucked up and knocked out. That's how boxing goes. Okay? So let's get into the questions again. So yeah, this is why Manny Pacquiao, it was an uphill battle for him anyway against Floyd. A style matchup. It didn't matter if Floyd faced Pacquiao way back in 2010. It didn't matter. The style matchup was still going to be Pacquiao was going to have problems. He's always going to have problems because he's a counterpuncher. He's a guy that sets up and then comes at you. When you throw something, he baits you so that you would throw something, and that's when he does his best. He was a lot more active, when he stopped Cotto, which Cotto was doing very well. He was landing punches on Pacquiao. Pacquiao was eating that shit and coming back with something, right? He was eating it and coming back with something. And Cotto didn't have that strength that he usually had, because Cotto can take a punch. He can take a punch, right? Against anybody. Everybody he's dealt with. The only guy who, like I said before, Cotto had a little bit of problems with was Mosley. Mosley was a guy that gave Cotto problems. I know it's later on in the fight, and Cotto decided, you know what, I'm gonna box this motherfucker. So he started boxing. But Cotto's naturally strong guy. Demolished DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley. Chop Chop Corley was a career super lightweight, and Cotto, nobody ever did that to Corley. Nobody. Cotto was the first to do it to Corley. Just destroy him, demolish him. Corley was known as a tough guy. And Cotto, he made the corner throw in the towel. Corley was nothing. He was done. Corley was done after Cotto. You know what I'm saying? Cotto was just a bad motherfucker. So when Cotto faced up against Margarito, and he was beating Margarito's ass. He was outboxing him. He was beating him up early on, and Margarito just suddenly started beating Cotto, and the damage that Cotto was taking, I guess the plaster of Paris in his hands was starting to harden up. And when it hardened up like really good, it really was doing the job on Cotto. I never seen Cotto's face like that after that. So, he was cheating. He cheated to beat Cotto because he knew he couldn't just beat Cotto. Cotto not a guy you just beat. Claudia beat Cotto. Cotto dropped Claudia, but, What just happened there? Hey, y'all, my feed just froze. Time's still going, but my feed is freezing. It's frozen up. Anyway, man, even though my feed is frozen up, let me talk to you guys, man. Come on now. Come on. Stop that. All right, so we're going to talk about it. So that's just a at-length thing. Steve Smash. Shout out to Steve Smash. Pacquiao made Floyd run. Floyd toyed with Maidana in both fights. I don't think he toyed with Maidana at all. He didn't toy with him in the first fight. That was a real fight. And Floyd was fighting back. Lola J, shout out to Lola J talking about muscle cars. We are a boxing channel, so I will not engage you on that. Let me see what we got here. Buster McDonald West says, Steve, just because Pac was the aggressor don't mean he won. He tried to be an aggressor, but he was going down the wrong lines. See, in boxing, you got lines of attack. And Floyd made him go down the wrong lines, you see. Lola J says, in the immortal words of Hulk Hogan, amen, brother. Steve Smash says it wasn't that. One has to go. The Godfather, one. Goodfellas, the Untouchables. Steve Smash says, we all know what Pacquiao did to Prime Cotto. Nah. I got to tell you guys that Cotto, I don't know why my video feed is freezing like this. Hold on a second, people. Hold on a second. Let me see what I can do about that. My feed just suddenly froze. I guess it's YouTube again playing up its ass. You guys are going to have to forgive me on that. YouTube been trying to give me trouble. I don't know why. I think it's because I was talking about 5G and coronavirus. We all know what Pacquiao did to prime Cotto. Nah, Cotto was in his prime, but he was weight training. That's just a fact. Now Pacquiao did great against Cotto, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't Cotto. I'm gonna have to skip Lola J. Lola J on some other beat. Steve Smash says, why wasn't Floyd dominating the center of the ring like he does in all his fights? Floyd fights different ways in different fights. He didn't dominate the center of the ring against Diego Corrales. Go watch that fight. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Floyd is not a guy that fights in the same style all the time. You guys just don't understand Floyd, Steve Smash. You don't understand what you're watching at. Okay, he didn't fight Diego Corrales in the center of the ring, yet he fought Zab Judah walking to him. He didn't fight Robert Guerrero in the center of the ring, right? He didn't do that. He fought, going backwards most of the time and circling him. Well, he did the same thing with Pacquiao. He fought Pacquiao in the center of the ring at certain times. He pushed back Pacquiao at certain times, like the 5th round, and I think it was the 8th or 7th round, something like that. He countered Pacquiao in the center of the ring when he's ready, and then when he's ready, he circled Pacquiao, made Pacquiao come to him on the ropes. Sometimes Pacquiao pushed him back, no doubt about that, but for the most part, Pacquiao couldn't really do much. He kept getting cornered by Pacquiao. And what did Pacquiao do? Miss. I mean, Floyd was playing traps. He was setting traps for Pacquiao. Pacquiao was walking into the traps. Steve Smash, Pacquiao was landing, that's why Floyd kept moving. No. Floyd was keeping range. Like I said, Steve Smash, you got to understand. Steve Smash, you have to understand the principle of range. Floyd was not trying to fight Pacquiao at mid-range. So he was maintaining range with the jab, the check hook, and he was landing lead rights on Pacquiao. That's why he outlanded Pacquiao. Pacquiao won the inside exchanges. Pacquiao don't fight on the inside. He don't fight on the inside. He fights at mid-range. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Pacquiao don't be shoulder to shoulder with you. He don't be bumping up on you and your heads are together and y'all fighting on the inside. He don't do that. He fight at mid-range. You see? You got to understand boxing. See what I'm saying, Steve Smash? Trying to get you to understand boxing. Bay Area Boxing Reborn says Mayweather is overrated. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. But quite frankly, unless you understand boxing and what these guys be doing in the ring, I can't value your opinion. I'm sorry, it's not informed. But you're entitled to your opinion. Bay Area Boxing Reborn. I don't know why you call yourself boxing when you don't understand boxing. You got to understand boxing first before you can talk about it. I don't know what you mean by overrated, though. So actually, unless you explain yourself, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right in terms of what you mean by overrated. It depends on what you're talking about. But, me personally, I'm not overrating him right now because I'm actually breaking down to you guys what he actually was doing. Hold on a second, people. Let me see what I can do here. Okay, this is where we go. All right, so we're back. Okay, I got the stream back online, so we're talking. All right, so one guy thinks that Mayweather was overrated. Again, I don't personally think that he's overrated at all. In fact, if anything, he's underrated as a fighter. But I'm breaking down to you guys some of the things that he does and how he kind of, what you could do to beat him, right? So this is why I was talking about Mika Cotto particularly, because Mika Cotto was a fighter that just had the right size, had the good game plan, had the skills to back up the game plan, also was able to make some of the necessary adjustments to give Mayweather all the problems he could ever handle. I think that's the closest guy that came to beating Mayweather. A lot of you guys feel like Castillo did enough to beat him. I don't personally think so. Emmanuel Burton got stopped, so it was a tough-ass fight, no doubt about it. It was a learning experience for Floyd, and don't underestimate your competition, but I believe that he, too, was going to get beat. I think a younger Emmanuel Burton would have given him a lot more problems. But the wealth of experience as well Emmanuel Burton brought to the table, I think, was the veteran Emmanuel Burton, I think, also sort of gave Floyd a lot of experience in that fight. But Marcos Maidana, I thought he was very good, but I thought Floyd was taking over the fight as the fight went on. I think he got a little setback. I think even in the second round, I thought he was making the adjustments to beat Marcos Maidana. After the third round, he took that. I think the fourth round where he got cut, that kind of changed momentum so that he didn't get the fourth, maybe the fifth, you get Marcos Maidana. But then after that, it was kind of smooth sailing for Floyd. Even though Marcos Maidana was getting him to the ropes, getting that guy to the ropes is one thing, okay? Hitting him with some explosive shots or throwing a lot more than he does is another thing. But it's different when you're mauling a guy, when you're breaking him down, when you're bruising a guy. Cotto was systematically breaking down Floyd. And nobody else in boxing has been able to do that. That was a systematic breakdown. And he was using everything that I would suggest you do with a Floyd Mayweather. Use your size. He wasn't as dirty or he wasn't as rough and rugged as a Marcos Maidana, okay? But he also wasn't as, he wasn't also, Jose Luis Castillo did his counters more like how Floyd would. He would pull counter you and stuff. And Cotto very rarely pull counters, but he does pop that jab. And so he walk you into a jab. And his jab is just beautiful to watch. His counter punching is mostly off of the jab. Okay? So Cotto would set the traps and pop the jab. And he popped the jab like, his jab is his jab is hard. Cotto pop a hard, solid jab. And he has two kinds of jab. He can throw it from the hip and come hit you with the jab, boom. Or he can throw it right there, boom. From right here, he can throw the jab. Because sometimes, Cotto's like this, fights you kind of like that, right? But just the way how he throw it with the shoulder and everything from up high. You know what he remind me of? He remind me of Edwin Rosario. Edwin Rosario has something of a style, something like Miguel Cotto. Cotto has a style, something like Edwin Rosario. You know what I mean? Cotto versus Chavez at super lightweight would be a hell of a fight. Because Chavez can fight on the inside. Cotto would have been a bigger dude, significantly bigger than Chavez. But it would have been a hell of a fight to watch. Because Cotto was a smart fighter. He's just physically strong, though. Physically strong fighter. Chavez could take a hell of a punch, don't get me wrong. But Cotto, breaks you down by attrition, man. He's physically imposing. Anyway, thank you a lot, guys, for all your contributions and your comments on Floyd Mayweather Jr. I was watching, and somebody else said something else, but I'm not seeing it on this feed right now. I'm not seeing it here, but it was on. Somebody else left a comment, but I guess it lost it. See, a lot of people believe that if you're a boxer, that you should stay off the ropes, that you should try and dominate in the center of the ring. This is a conventional way of thinking. But when you're comfortable on the ropes, like a Canelo or a Mayweather, you can fight off the ropes and be very effective there, counter-punching guys, making them look stupid and stuff. Catching people with eye-catching shots and not getting hit back. So a lot of people don't understand that Mayweather and Canelo were a special breed of boxer. They're not just limited to outboxing a guy. They're not just limited to fighting off the front foot and coming down and walking down people, or people expect them as boxers like an Arislandi Lara, for example, to just be guys who are pretty and dainty and they can't take punches and they can't go into toe-to-toe battles. But the truth be told, these guys are tough fighters themselves. They just choose to use a particular style of fighting. They're not going to crumble under pressure. And they can bang. We all saw Floyd bang many times. Even in his fight against Gennaro Hernandez, he did some banging. DeMarcus Corley, he did banging. Shane Mosley, he systematically boxed him, but it was like he was right in his grill. He was right in his face, beating him up, right? It wasn't banging, but you know what I'm saying? He was boxing him, So Cotto always been a rough, rugged, and tough physical fighter, okay? And That's just Cotto. Every single fight, that's what he do until he was the little guy at middleweight. But other than that, I mean, he just a physical dude, you know. So, you know, Miguel Cotto, in my opinion, gave Floyd Mayweather the toughest fight of his career. I think Floyd may not acknowledge that because of different mental circumstances. What I mean by that is, you know, the Emmanuel Augustus fight was difficult because coming off a long layoff and underestimating him because he didn't know who Emmanuel Augustus was and so on. But for me personally, we saw the best Floyd against Miguel Cotto, and that Floyd, who was prepared for a battle like that, who was prepared for attrition, still going through it, had difficulty against Miguel Cotto. I think Miguel Cotto is, hands down, Floyd Mayweather's toughest fight of his career. And that's why Mayweather gives Cotto respect to this day. Miguel Cotto personally said that the best fighter he had ever faced was Floyd Mayweather. And again, these two guys, I believe, have the utmost respect for each other. You know, whereas, Floyd did trash talk Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto, they did get in a little fight and stuff on the stage. But I'm going to say this. Floyd knew mentally he couldn't break Miguel Cotto. He went into that fight knowing he had no mental advantages over Miguel Cotto. He knew he couldn't get into Miguel Cotto's head. he knew what Miguel Cotto was. They had been in Top Rank. They had been in the same gym. You know, Floyd had career had progressed ahead of Miguel Cotto. Floyd was always smaller than Miguel Cotto. But Miguel Cotto had learned off of Floyd a lot of things. And I'm telling y'all, Miguel Cotto was at the point in his career where he had seen it all. Kind of like a Pacquiao when he faced Mayweather. It was the best chance for Pacquiao to beat Mayweather. And it was also the best chance for Pacquiao not to get knocked out by Mayweather. You know what I mean? Because one of the things people don't understand is Pacquiao can't fight on the inside. He can fight on the inside. He can, and he can throw some good shots on the inside. But if you're a physically big, strong guy and you take it to Pacquiao on the inside, I'm not talking about you cramp him for space and you take it to him on the inside. Don't let him sidestep, rough him up, keep him from sidestepping you. You're gonna beat him, right? Jeff Horn was able to do that because he knew how to get to the inside too. He was stutter stepping Pacquiao, setting up Pacquiao, so Pacquiao throw a punch and then he gets to the inside, right? He was very quick with it. But and Jeff Horn is going to be facing Tim Tszyu, Costa Tszyu's son. That's the matchup that we're hearing about. We have some upcoming fights. I'm going to talk to y'all about that in the next video. But it's an exciting fight because Tim Tszyu has some pretty good defense. He doesn't have the experience, though. Jeff Horn's been at the championship level and all of that. So it should be interesting. It's a 165-pound fight. I would love to see that. How Tim Tszyu does against Jeff Horn, who's a big middleweight, by the way. Like I was saying, when you're talking about boxing, right? And I hope that Troy King and they shout out to Troy King and also Aaron Coley, two really good up and coming fighters. I hope that Troy King continues to box somehow, some way. Aaron Coley's doing his thing in his career, and props out to him. But when you have a career as long as Floyd has, and you faced titans like Floyd has, you can't be an overrated fighter. You know, Floyd calls himself TBE, and a lot of people have a problem with that for some reason. You know, this man has done everything to prove that he's TBE. He's proven it time and time again. Right. When you look at the body of work this dude has done, when you look at the body of work that he's compiled in the ring, We're not talking about outside the ring. We're not talking about the money and the gate and all that. I don't care about that. This guy is bar none the best that's ever done. And I listen, the guys of you who talk about how, he ain't fought nobody or he ain't this or he ain't that, you're just being straight up hating because you don't like the guy. I saw a comment, but I don't see it on this feed here. But I saw somebody comment on their stream saying something like, Floyd is the king of pussies or something like that. I think somebody said, he's the best of pussies or something like that. That's a straight up hater comment because your guy didn't beat him. And so you're just hating on him. But and a lot of people just don't like Floyd and they don't want to give him credit. Ryan Garcia and Canelo Alvarez, I'm going to say it again, are huge Floyd Mayweather fans. Huge. Canelo, everybody knows where Canelo has reached to this day is because of his fight with Floyd Mayweather. He cannot avoid that. The ass whooping he got from Floyd, which is not an ass whooping, he got schooled really, but the schooling he got from Floyd, he could talk about Ray Robinson, how much he won out of the wazoo. He didn't get that skill and experience from Sugar Ray Robinson. He got it from Floyd. He could talk how much he won about Sugar Ray Robinson and deny Floyd his credit. He's going to have to get up one day and say, Floyd Mayweather made me with the man that I am today. He's going to have to get up and say it. Because guess what? Sugar Ray Robinson was a pot shotter, yeah. He was a body puncher, yeah, I get that. But you got schooled by Floyd. You know what the approach you have to boxing. The reason you was able to beat Sergey Kovalev wasn't because of Sugar Ray Robinson, because Sugar Ray Robinson was dumb as fuck against Joey Maxson, throwing all them punches and getting hit with body shots all the time. For all the skill Sugar Ray Robinson had, his decision-making wasn't the best. Now, some people turn around to me and say, oh, man, you bad-talking Sugar Ray Robinson. You're always pulling down the greats of the past. No, I'm pointing out to you why Canelo is following Floyd's ass and not Sugar Ray Robinson's ass. And Ryan Garcia is saying that Floyd's a great businessman. We all knew that a long time ago. He signed up with the right people, but don't give me that fucking shit that he ain't great in the ring. And he ain't the best to ever do it in the ring. Fuck bullshit. That's bullshit. I cry bullshit on that because y'all stupid ass be doing the same thing. You be following his ass. You talking about Sugar Ray Robinson and Sugar Ray Robinson and Sugar Ray Robinson and y'all ass trying to do a career like Floyd Mayweather. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. You following his same business model. But he not the best. He not the best in the ring. Castillo beat his ass in the ring. No. Bullshit. I cry bullshit. If Castillo beat his ass in the ring, why didn't Castillo beat his ass again in the ring in the rematch? Because guess what? Chris Eubanks Sr. got beat by Steve Cummings, right? Roy Jones Jr. got beat by Antonio Tarver, right? When they beat him, when they beat Roy, when Cummings beat Chris Eubanks Sr., who was undefeated to that point in time, didn't he come back again and prove that he had his number by beating him again? Y'all said Sergey Kovalev beat Andre Ward. Then why didn't he beat him in the rematch? That's what a rematch is for. If you really beat that dude in a rematch, you beat him again. You beat him again. Y'all said Golovkin beat Canelo. Let's go with Canelo. Canelo's a dude, you know. I know you got an issue a little bit with Floyd, but you like him. You know you like Floyd. You know you like what he do. in the ring. I'm talking not personally, but you like what he do in the ring. You think Oscar De La Hoya don't like what Floyd do in the ring? He loves what Floyd do in the ring. You think Boom Boom Man C don't like what Floyd do in the ring? He loves what Floyd do in the ring. You know what is wrong with these guys? They jealous because Floyd got everything. He got the money. He got the resume. He beat everybody he put in front of him. And he did it with style, pizzazz. Yeah, he talked plenty. He talked up a storm. He said, I'm going to murder this guy, and he didn't murder him, right? I get you. All right. He talked about, we're going to get the fights, the fight that you want to see. Then he give you a Mayweather fight. Okay, I got you. So he would hype up the fight so much, you go in, hey, this is a fight we want to see. Yeah. But Paulie Malignaggi told y'all. Max Kellerman told y'all. Jim Lampley told y'all. Mayweather versus Pacquiao was not going to live up to the hype. It was never going to. The style matchup will not lead to that. Paulie said, when you all see how easy Floyd going to beat Pacquiao, y'all going to be mad. Y'all pay so much money for this fight. Paulie told y'all that before the fight ever happened. He said when Floyd beat him so easy, y'all gonna turn around and be disappointed. Y'all was expecting Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Y'all was expecting a clash of the Titan. Y'all was expecting Floyd to get his face all bloody and stuff and Pacquiao knock him out. That's what y'all was looking for because y'all don't like the dude. He beat him easy. He beat him easy. To this day, according to Deontay Wilder, to this day, y'all salty about that. Y'all talking about the fight of the century. That wasn't the fight of the century. Y'all trying to put down the shit. Y'all trying to get casual fans to say that was the shit fight and all of that. No, he beat him easy. That's what happened. He didn't even break a sweat. He beat him easy. That was one of his easiest fights. And y'all know this. Y'all saw it. And some of y'all come with whack-ass statements like, what? Pacquiao won the fight. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Come on now. Stop that bullshit. Donald Trump don't run boxing. Stop with the alternative truths. Pacquiao came up with excuses. Arm was bad. Motherfucker, your arm could have been bad. You supposed to still get the W. Under all circumstances, Floyd's arm was bad against Castillo. He still got the W. You could have gotten the W. No. Tell the truth, Pacquiao. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. He did not fall for your traps. Tell the truth. He made adjustments to make sure that you trying to come in on him couldn't happen. He used his reach advantage. He used his size advantage. Tell the truth. Don't lie. The biggest fight of the century, the guy that was supposed to, dust Floyd, was easily controlled. He looked stupid. He looked like an amateur. In the 11th round, Floyd was banging his gloves together and pot-shotting him. Boop! Hitting him upside the head with jabs and laughing at him. Easy work. Easy work. He's not Cotto. He's not Maidana. Those are tougher ass fights. Those styles, Cotto make you fight. Maidana make you fight. Right? Castillo makes you fight too, but he fight off of a range, mid-range. Is his ideal thing. See what I'm saying? All right, so I break it down for you guys, man. I break these things down. I break down the fights for you guys to let you guys know this was the dude that gave Floyd the most problems, Cotto. And when you look at a Cotto fight versus Floyd, and you look at a Pacquiao versus Floyd, Pacquiao didn't bloody Floyd's nose, didn't bust up his mouth, didn't have him sore after the fight. Have Floyd saying, man, Cotto hit hard, boy. Cotto's the hardest thing I ever got hit by. And Floyd be all in a kind of respect and awe, Cotto. He got that respect on Cotto. He got no respect for Pacquiao. He got respect for Cotto. Cotto don't make no excuses when he lose a fight. He do walk off and he don't give interviews because he pissed, but he don't make excuses for the fights. The crowd was all cheering when Cotto started coming back in the fight. Cotto, real dude. He a real dude. He a real deal. Cotto took punishment from Margarito, cheating ass Margarito. He got his sweet revenge though. Bust up his eye too. Mashed up his eye. Wrecked his orbital again. And this was an orbital that healed back. So Cotto gotta be hitting hard to mash up that eye again. But because it heals back harder than when it broke, you know. Yeah, Cotto, man, got sweet revenge on Margarito. Sweet revenge. Margarito without his kryptonite gloves. He beat his ass up. He beat his ass up. Right? That's the Cotto that went against Floyd, man. I'm gonna say this to you guys. Y'all don't put respect on Cotto's name either. When Cotto was fighting and giving guys catchweights to face him, y'all was going in on Cotto. Y'all didn't do that when Cotto was going in against Pacquiao. Y'all didn't do that shit. Y'all was praising Pacquiao for that shit. Cotto came in 145 on the scales. It's a big ass guy. Never been 145 in a long time. Y'all watch Cotto get drained down, right? So that you can see Pacquiao beat Cotto, right? We don't know what Pacquiao was taking, but y'all still defending Pacquiao to this day. All right? Pacquiao be eating up Cotto shots and coming back with shots. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody eats Cotto shots, man. Nobody eats Cotto shots. Not even Mosley. Mosley respected Cotto shots. Man, fucking middleweights respect Cotto shots. Even Canelo, even though he wasn't as badly hurt, he had to back off. Canelo would have, Canelo watched you like, what the fuck was that? You know, he annoyed and shit, but I mean, Cotto, nobody just walks through Cotto shots. Nobody. Nobody. But Pacquiao can. And y'all still, to this day, y'all don't want to say that Pacquiao was taking something. Okay, he didn't get caught, but he was taking something. Why do you think Floyd had random blood on urine testing and Pacquiao didn't want to take it? Okay? I don't buy it. I don't buy that Pacquiao could take them shots. Okay? Cotto's a dude that's physically strong, man. Once you're talking 140 to 154, he's physically stronger than everybody except for Mosley. I don't think there's anybody else in that division from 140 to 154 that was stronger than Cotto. Right? Now, Margarito, he ain't stronger than Cotto. Okay? Cotto was the physically strongest guy in the divisions from 140 to 154. And he proved it in every single fight. He just demolished guys, okay? Take their punches and keep coming, okay? And he wasn't a guy that just took punches. He had defense and stuff, but I'm just saying. Cotto was physically strong. Mosley was stronger than Cotto. We all know this. Mosley's a strong motherfucker, period. Cotto has never been knocked out. He's been stopped. He's never been knocked out. Nobody has ever knocked out Cotto. Cotto has never come down from the ground and stayed on the ground. Okay? Because he's physically strong. Margarito, look what Margarito did to Cotto. Cotto still with that messed up face when he looks at it now. Even with that messed up face where Kenny Bayless had to stop the fight because his face was just a mess. Cotto was willing to go on. He's physically strong. And that's natural strength. That's not steroids. That's not PEDs. The man just physically, listen to his voice. Yes, he got a deep voice. He's physically strong. He's not the tallest guy in the world, about 5'7", whatever. Cotto's like Marvin Hagler strong. Cotto's strong. All right. I would have loved to see Cotto versus Marvin Hagler, by the way. That would have been a hell of a fight. I don't know who would have won, to be honest with you. Them two guys strong, and they both could box, and Cotto can switch to southpaw, like Hagler. Okay, but Cotto primarily fights with his lead hand being his strongest hand. I would love to see those two fight. It'll be a hell of a, and we all know Cotto was attrition. Hagler was more explosive. Cotto was more mauling and bruising. And I think Cotto's physically bigger than Hagler, even though he's a small little guy too. He's probably shorter than Hagler. And Hagler would have hit him with uppercuts like mad, for sure. But and Hagler bounced around a lot more than Cotto. Cotto kind of stepped to you. He made do a little jig and he ain't physically strong, man. He looked like a bouncer in there. You know what I'm saying? Cotto versus Hagler would have been a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight. Duran versus Hagler was great. Cotto versus Hagler would be great. Cotto was bigger than Duran. I think he was stronger than Duran as well. That would have been a hell of a fight. Cotto versus Duran. Shit. And Cotto always bring you exciting fights. Cotto never give you a dull fight. Cotto always bring it. You know, his fighting style is such that he always going to give you an exciting fight. You know. But yeah, Amiga Cotto, man. I didn't like how people disrespected him later on in his career after he became middleweight champion of the world, and because he faced Daniel Gill complaining that Cotto drained him. But look, man, look, he did get drained, by the way. Daniel Gill did get drained. But y'all wasn't saying nothing, like I said before, when Pacquiao was draining Cotto. Okay? Y'all didn't say nothing when Diego Corrales was drained by Mayweather. Okay? Y'all didn't say nothing. Okay? But y'all call Pacquiao's greatest win was Cotto, and Mayweather's greatest win was Diego Corrales, right? So don't be double standards. Don't be double standards on Cotto. Okay, don't do that. All right? You know, be fair. If you're going to say something for one person, then it applies to everyone. All right? So you can't be mad at Cotto for calling him diva and all this bullshit because he told Sergio Martinez, yeah, he told him, look, you can't wear your knee band. He put rank on Sergio. That's why Sergio was falling down all the time in the fight. Sergio was strong, but his feet wasn't, you know. He coming back too. Sergio looks like he want to make a resurgence into boxing, and I'm glad about that. I want to see him. His career's not over. He had a nice little break. He got to heal back. I want to see Sergio do his thing. By the way, you're encouraged again to leave comments on here. Different views and opinions don't mean nothing. I'm just going to break down my opinion, my view to you and explain to you from a boxing perspective why I believe that your points of view are not necessarily where I share with you. Okay? So some of y'all say Mayweather's a pussy. I'll explain to you why I think he's not. Some of you may say Pacquiao beat Mayweather. I'll explain to you style-wise why Pacquiao had difficulty with Mayweather and why he did not beat him. Some of you may believe that Castillo beat Mayweather. I'll explain to you why I believe that Castillo didn't do enough to beat Mayweather and why Mayweather beat Castillo. But I will acknowledge that Castillo, being the champion that he was, deserved to be treated as one before and after that fight. Okay? I'm not saying that a guy can't beat you in the first fight when you get a decision over him and then you go back in the rematch and beat his ass. This is very true. But y'all are doing and y'all are behaving as if Castillo had found the formula to beat Floyd Mayweather. And if that was the truth to the statement, then he should have been able to beat him in the rematch, like Steve Cummings did to Chris Eubank Jr. Steve Cummings had Chris Eubank Jr.'s number. Chris Eubank Jr. knocked down Steve Cummings twice in the first fight, right? He had his number, right? Tyson Fury has Deontay Wilder's number, I think. We'll see if Deontay Wilder can do something in the third fight, but Tyson Fury seems to have his number, okay? And he beat him two different ways, too. My point being this. I'm not saying that it's possible a fighter could beat you in the first fight and then the second fight he didn't beat you. We've seen it in throwback fights. We've seen it throughout history. And by the way, let me make this abundantly clear to you guys again, because it seems as though a lot of you don't have the right perspective. I'm going to say it again. I do respect the past greats. I do love them. This is why I laud George E. Benton. This is why I laud Carlos Monzon. I talk about Carlos Monzon. I look at them from their styles, their perspectives, their mindset, etc. All right, spiritually, mentally, physically. I love the past fighters, and you can learn a lot from them. Sugar Ray Robinson, of course, and so many others. In fact, I have some favorites. I've said it over and over. The original Black Chocolate is one of my favorite fighters. He's explosive. He was fighting. He was exciting. He was small. You know, he did things. But that doesn't mean, because boxing as a sport has evolved, that doesn't mean that makes them better than some of the present fighters today. And we do not value them. I've said it over and over, and I hammer it over and over again. My mantra, what I actually represent. Now, right now, currently, the guy that is the gold standard of boxing is Floyd Mayweather. Is he a better boxer than Muhammad Ali? Well, the Colonel Sheridan and also David Bontempo said he got a better defense than Sugar Ray Robinson. He got a better defense than Sugar Ray Leonard. He got a better defense than Muhammad Ali. They said that, not me. Okay, David Bontempo, when Mayweather was facing Oscar De La Hoya, and the Colonel Sheridan said that. All live commentary. I didn't say it. Roger Mayweather way back when they said, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard would face Floyd Mayweather. Sugar Ray Leonard said he would beat him. Of course, he's going to believe that, of course. And he said he beat his father. And then Roger Mayweather said, well, for one thing, Floyd Mayweather has a better defense than Sugar Ray Leonard. He said that. I didn't say it. So I'm only commenting on what people in the business have said about Floyd Mayweather. In fact, one of the commentators one time said that they believe he got the quickness of a Roy Jones Jr. and the athleticism of the Roy Jones Jr. They said he got the skills of a Sugar Ray Leonard and Sugar Ray Robinson. This is what they said. They said he's better than Sugar Ray Leonard. He's better than Muhammad Ali. You know what? Even Bob Arum said that when Floyd Mayweather was his fighter. He said Floyd Mayweather's better than Ali. Floyd Mayweather's better than Sugar Ray Leonard. He said this is the guy, Zaz of a Muhammad Ali. He said that. Okay. Now, yeah, he said Lomachenko is probably the best thing he's ever seen because he's a promoter as well. I don't necessarily agree with him, but I do agree Lomachenko's up there. He's up there. Come on, man. Look at the man's resume. Look at Lomachenko's resume. Come on, people. You cannot deny this man his resume. His resume is ridiculous. The man in his second fight was facing a world champion for a world championship belt, at least. His second fight was a championship fight, man. Come on. Come on. Shit, the only person to do that dwarfs him is Clarissa Shields. Her first fight was a championship fight. But other than that, shit, Lomachenko, man, it's ridiculous. You look at the man's resume. The man doesn't even have 20 fights yet. And the man's resume is ridiculous. Nobody in boxing has a resume like that. Clarissa Shields is the closest to it. All right. Clarissa Shields actually got a ridiculous resume herself. She's already had 3 championship belts, 3 championship fights. She's won in 3 different weight classes. She don't even have 10 fights yet. Shit's crazy with Clarissa Shields. Okay, in all of boxing, listen, she the quote. In all of boxing, no one in boxing has ever done that. No one. She got 2 gold medals like Lomachenko in the Olympics. Clarissa Shields is accomplishing incredible things and breaking records, both in men and female boxing, men and women boxing. Y'all have to recognize she is what she says she is already. But just now, she might be the GOAT. She might be the GOAT of boxing. How's that for challenge? Because she's breaking history all the time. She's doing things nobody else in boxing has done and breaking records. Y'all have no idea who you're seeing in real time. Y'all put down Clarissa Shields. This woman is doing things nobody in boxing has done. Do you guys understand that? You get to be a part of that. So stop being narcissistic and say boxing is dying, boxing is dead. Shut up with that shit. You're in an era of modern science and technology where the pugilistic sport is at its highest in terms of how it's approached scientifically. Its highest. But you can't appreciate it because all you can think about is the past and how the past people get caught up in how you get caught up in how the past people do things. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the past and some of the exciting fights you saw. But those kinds of fights you're not going to see anymore. Very few of them. Can you let go of that? One, because referees are going to stop the fight faster because athletes are stronger and some of them are taking PEDs. And people are getting killed in that ring. And two, because the boxers themselves have become more strategic in how they approach things. And the room for error is smaller. You make one little error, you could get knocked the fuck out. And Sean Porter talked about this. The sport is changed. And yes, some fighters want to be matched in such a manner that they want to maximize on their money and therefore they take certain fights and they don't take certain fights at certain times. But y'all also as fans are becoming more and more impatient. Y'all as fans are not letting boxers develop themselves. See, back in Sugar Ray Leonard's time and Thomas Hearn's time, at least you got 20 fights before you face top tier competition. And you had your training ground and stuff. Nowadays, y'all get spoiled by guys like Lomachenko, Clarissa Shields. Y'all getting spoiled. They just coming into boxing and facing these tough ass fights from the get-go. And y'all don't appreciate that. And you expect it of all boxers. Oh yeah. You know what? Ryan Garcia should face Gervonta Davis. He should face him now. The man needs to gather experience first. Y'all running ahead of yourselves. Of course, Ryan Garcia is going to feel he could face Gervonta at this point in time. But it's not just feeling that you can do it. You have to know you can do it. You got to be tested first. Even Mayweather, before he faced Gennaro Hernandez, had to face Tony Pep, a very tall guy, a guy tall as Thomas Hearns, with the reach of a Thomas Hearns. Okay? But you guys as fans need to be more patient with some fighters. Shakur Stevens, he's ready to face, or he says he thinks he's ready to face the UK fighter. Forgot what his name is, Josh Warrington. He not ready for Josh Warrington. But Bob Arum and Top Rank, they know, and they'll carry him along as is appropriate. That's why that fight ain't happened. Bob Arum saying he gonna go and make that fight. Bob Arum knows better than that. Not right now. That ain't for now. He's not ready for Josh Warrington. He's not ready for Josh Warrington. You hear me? He's not ready for him. Josh Warrington has faced top tier opposition time and time again. He has that experience behind him, and he's tough. Shakur's not ready for that. This is common sense. He has the desire, but he's not ready for that. And Lomachenko, experienced boxer, knows that Devin Haney wasn't ready for him. Devin Haney would think he was. But Lomachenko knows. He's faced top-tier guys in shorter fights than Devin Haney had. Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez has had more experience than Devin Haney at the top level because he faced a very, very good fighter to win the IBF championship. Devin Haney's still being moved along. Tough, too. He's learning that not everybody you can get out of there. Different fighters come with different skill sets. Billy Joe Saunders, in his debut to America, he faced an Argentinian fighter. We all know Argentinian fighters are tough. Right? It's boxing. You can be tested with somebody who's not a well-known name. We saw Terrence Crawford get put down by Edges Galvaliaskis. Edges Galvaliaskis boxed very well in that fight. Just landing the lead right. against the southpaw. But he looked bad against Ray Robinson. But Ray Robinson was a good test for him to be able to, even though Ray Robinson got robbed, but it was a good test so to prepare him for Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford couldn't outbox him. He had to outfight him. And he figured out he was open for the left hook, and he started landing that left hook on him all night long. I'm sorry, right hook, because he's a southpaw. My bad. Right hook. Okay? His right side was open. His left side was open for Terrence Crawford's right hook. My bad. Okay, but if you can't see and demonstrate and be able to explain yourself in boxing, what's the use? What's the use? A lot of people say a lot of common things and then other people's piggyback off of it. You can't always be a piggybacker. You have to have your own opinion of a situation. And that doesn't mean that you may not be saying the same thing along with other people, but when you give your reasons, they must be that grounded in boxing. Do you understand? That's why I respect Troy King, and I even respect Aaron Coley, because Aaron Coley was making some points about Demetrius Andrade that I agreed with. Now, I did not agree that you can just outbox Canelo, like stay on the outside, and because he got quicker feet. Canelo, first of all, uses small steps, like my boy Troy King was saying. He moves with small steps. He'll inch in with you. Floyd does the same thing, right? And Canelo's rhythm is not easy to pick up. Danny Jacobs spoke about that he has a weird rhythm. So all of these things Demetrius Andrade will have to deal with, first of all. But even though Demetrius Andrade had to fight Canelo on the inside, Demetrius Andrade is capable of fighting fighters on the inside. He actually had that fight where he exclusively fought on the inside, and very, very well. Because what? Demetrius Andrade has an extensive amateur background. He's fought every single style, including, I think Demetrius Andrade faced Andrew Ward. Did he face Andrew Ward? In fights. Okay? So Demetrius Andrade is the guy that is well versed in boxing. And I was going to say, Canelo did not walk through Golovkin. Okay? He walked him down, but he was picking him off. Okay, picking off the shot, pick up the shot. He was picking him off as he was walking with a high guard. He was picking him off. Okay, so it's not like he was just walking through Golovkin, which is a lot of people were saying, which is bullshit. He's smaller than Golovkin. If Golovkin caught him flush, it would hurt him. Okay, but his defense is so good. You saw it against Danny Jacobs, where Danny Jacobs was just hitting the air. He could walk to you, and you can't hit him as he's walking to you and walking you down. And he does a lot of things like Floyd. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example, okay? I'm going to have to go use the bathroom, but I've been talking extensively with you guys. Hope you guys appreciate that. Oh, you can only see my head. Hold on a second. Let me go pee. turn on the lights in the house, man. Let's see that. Yo, house is in darkness. I haven't wet the appliance either. Cool. So let me show you what. What else? Yeah. Canelo. Something about the footwork, I think it was. Yeah. Okay, so, man, you can't see my feet. See, if you guys can't see my feet, it don't make no difference. But anyway, I'm going to try something. Drop this. Turn. I'm going to, yeah, this should do it. This one. Is it slacking or tight? Yeah, this is slacking. Cool. So you can see my feet a bit. Still can't see my feet. It's a pity. See, hold on a second. Ow. It's killing me. Okay, so you're gonna see my feet now. All right. So what Canelo would do if he's coming in on you, I'm in a southpaw stance, so you're gonna have to excuse me about that. But Canelo, he be coming in, swiveling and stuff, right? And then he would do as if he's gonna step, but he really stay on the same spot, okay? And he's swiveling. So let me show you what it looked like up top. Floyd do the same thing. He don't come in on you. You're thinking he's coming in on you, but he's actually So here I am, right? So with Canelo, he got the hands up, right? And he's doing as if he's stepping in. He's inching in on you, right? Inching in on you. And then he'll do like this, right? And he'll step in place. He'll step in place, but you feel like he's going to advance to you. Sometimes he steps in place and leans back. Steps in place and leans back, right? But he really is, he hasn't advanced towards you. And he provokes a reaction where you might step back or you might throw a jab at him, right? And with that, he could leap in or he could just continue his inching in, okay? So these are little tricks of the trade that a lot of people don't see. That's why I said Canelo has what we call precise footwork. All right, he has precise footwork. He doesn't just, he knows where he's placing his feet exactly in space. He knows what he's doing. Sometimes he's inching in on you with his feet, but he's in place. What I mean by that is he slides the front foot forward, his body's back here, okay? And he's doing like if he's got his high guard up, and you're not realizing he just sneaked in a little bit more space on you. He's actually a little closer to you than you think, until he throws his counter. Then he realized he was closer to me than I thought he was. And this happened with Kovalev a couple of times. Canelo his body is outside of range, but his foot is within range. These are all little tricks of the trade. Boxing is a very tricky sport. So, like, one of the things you got to do is watch where the foot of your opponent is, where the feet are placed, because that's one of the things that'll tell you how close they are to you. So some fighters, they look at the opponent's foot to see where they're at. Okay. There we go. All right, so we're talking boxing, right? So Canelo and Floyd, they do those little tricks. You know, they're doing as if they're coming in on you, and then they feint so well that you can't tell the difference between when they're coming forward or when they're feinting coming forward. You can't tell it because it's so smooth. You see, a very effective feint is one that looks almost exactly like the actual thing that you're going to do. So these guys have learned how to sort of incomplete their movements. They know how to kind of stop it in the middle of it. Floyd's a master doing that. And Canelo, he's mastering the art of doing that. And so you don't know what they're going to. See, the thing with boxing is this. If you don't know what your opponent is going to do next, that means you was already a step behind, because they have a game plan. And they're making you pause and hesitate. And once you're pausing and hesitating, or as they say, you're thinking for some reason, they got you because you're frozen at that point in time. So they're just and this is where feints are very effective in boxing. Nobody really talks a lot about feints. They only know certain kinds of feints. There's offensive, then there's defensive feints, and there's feints that both offensive and defensive at the same time. And I did a little session with you guys in my post. I posted up some GIFs demonstrating the defensive feint. And it's the most ironic thing in the world. The defensive feint is a feint where a guy was advancing at you, he was doing some offense, and you made him stop. And now you got him on the defense. And you yourself, now, that's a form of defense for you. So you didn't throw a punch, you didn't even do anything, but you feinted something, and that caused your opponent to stop, hesitate, go on the defensive. Okay, it's called a defensive feint, and we've seen it with guys even walking down other guys. They are walking them down, and they haven't even thrown a punch, but the other guy is retreating or he's throwing a jab to try and keep them off of himself. Whereas their intention was to keep the opponent off of themselves, so they're feigning as if they're attacking them, but it sets up a position where the opponent is so defensive that they can actually attack them. And so the defensive feints transition into, because they're like range setters, okay, they transition into offensive feints. So they become what are called offensive defensive feints. And we saw Canelo utilize offensive feint. We saw Manny Pacquiao utilize an offensive feint, but he also uses his feints as defensive feints. Manny Pacquiao is a tricky little customer. I'll explain to you some things that Manny Pacquiao does. Manny Pacquiao and Lomachenko seem like they're always on the offense. They seem like they're always looking to land a punch. But there are times when they're actually just trying to buy time, get energy, and they're trying to get the opponent to stay on the defensive, keep their hands home. So Pacquiao's a guy versus Oscar De La Hoya was a much dangerous guy than him because he's, supposedly comes from a higher weight class. He was supposedly bigger than him on the night. Pacquiao wanted to allow Oscar to keep his hands home so that he could circle him. He could do whatever the fuck he wants. He could buy time. He could get his breath of air when he needed to and keep Oscar confused. So he was not just turning Oscar, but when Oscar threw a jab, he would feint as if he's going to come on the inside. And while he's doing that, he's slipping the jab, he's slipping the punch, and he push Oscar back. So Oscar would pop the jab, but then move backwards. And then Oscar be watching him as he's feinting again and feinting, and Oscar keep your hands on. And so Pacquiao buys some time with those feints. And then now he's in control, so he now feints. And then he, of course, follows up a feint with an actual punch so that that Oscar will bite on the next feint. And the punch is accurate, so Oscar is now keeping his hands home and watching everything, right? And that's what you want him to do. You want a guy who's offensively minded to start second-guessing his offense. And once he second-guesses the offense, it's a defensive feint because he's not going to be throwing anything at you. And you got time. Now, you could actually set up your attack when you want to, and when you don't want to, you can have this guy's hands at home by feinting him. So that's what's called a defensive feint, ironically. And then the offensive feints are ones in which you feint a punch one way to distract your opponent so you can mount your offense. So literally, what comes right after an offensive feint is offense. Okay? It sets up to open up your opponent for an offensive shot. So that's what's called a offensive feint. And then there's offensive and defensive feints. You can have a feint that causes your opponent to go on the defense. So he wants to keep his hands at home. But in so doing, you're actually going to get a free shot at him. And you can pick where you want to target. Okay? So it's both defensive in that he's not striking you, and at the same time, it's offensive because you're going to follow it up with something offensive. Okay? So that's an offensive defensive feint. So there's all kinds of feints out there, and they're done all kinds of different ways. And they always try to give you the shoulder feint. It's just like a strong. That's the most obvious feint, right? And that doesn't always, people don't always bite it because you gotta be smooth. You gotta be like how you normally box, how you normally throw a punch. That's what makes the feint something that people bite on. Canelo, perfect example of an offensive feint. Canelo was throwing body punches at Amir Khan, okay? He threw them the same way, like how he would loop a punch and throw to the head. So he got Amir Khan conditioned to think that he's throwing a punch to the body. So when he knocked out Amir Khan, he did two things. He feinted the jab, okay, like he always does. He feinted the jab, and then he came with a shot that looked like it was a body shot. So Amir Khan, first of all, when he saw the jab, he reacted by trying to create space by jabbing out with the jabber. So Canelo feinted as if he was going to throw the jab, right? Which allows him to cock back this way, right? So he's feinting the jab, which causes Amir Khan to start to throw a jab. And then he starts to throw a body punch like he normally does. And Khan, in the middle of his jab, sees that he's going to get hit to his spleen, so he starts bringing down his hands. He starts bringing down his hands to protect his spleen, which leaves his head open, right? So Canelo rips as he's going to the body, and then he comes up top to the head. Boom! Khan never saw that coming. He never prepared for it. He didn't think that was it. He was conditioned to think it was going to be a body punch. He got clocked upside the head and knocked him the spark out. He went on the ground. He wasn't asleep. He was trying to get back up. And the referee was like, no, Ninja, you just stay right there. You got hit crisp, clean. You never saw it. You stay down. And so Canelo just wanted to make sure he was alive, that he didn't have really bad brain damage, because it was a shot that was hit with great leverage as well. So that was a devastating knockout to Amir Khan, which I'm pretty sure took off many years of his life from him. But it's one that was set up. That's an offensive feint, okay? That's an offensive feint. And it's nice, crisp, clean, smooth. And nobody really picked it up. It's like, oh man, he just home run them, not understanding what really went down there. All right, so that's why I like to, Roy Jones Jr. went into more detail about what really actually happened and what Canelo was actually doing to Amir Khan. Amir Khan acknowledged that Canelo was actually the smarter boxer in there and actually outboxed him. And why he says that Canelo outboxed him, not like outside boxing, but outboxed him, was he set him up. Canelo set him up for that knockout. He set him up since round one. He was setting him up. Khan was boxing on the outside, and it looked like he was all landing Canelo and shit. No, Canelo had a master plan. They had a game plan on how to knock out Amir Khan. That's why you can't really say that another fighter is beating another fighter because he's outboxing him. Not really. You have to look at the game plans of both fighters. You have to look at who really is in control. Canelo was breaking down Khan to the body. Being the bigger guy, hitting a lot harder, he was able to slow him down and also condition him to set him up for the knockout. And that's boxing for you. And that's why I say the smartest guy in there is who wins. It's not the guy with the most skills. It's not how fast you are. Khan was faster than Canelo. Go faster than him. How do you beat a guy that's faster than you breaking down your body? How do you beat a guy that's faster than him? You outthinking him, you outsmart him. Right? So that's what he did to Amir Khan. Amir Khan is a good boxer, but again, it's not just skill, it's how you use it. It's what's your game plan? All right? So that's how Amir Khan beat Canelo. All right, so I've talked more than enough. There's a lot more boxing I want to talk. I'm almost talked 3 hours. I'm going to get into the next video with you guys soon enough. Share this video with other people, man, the stream. Let people comment on this video. As I said before, I think Kamiga Cotto, his IQ and just the way how he approached the fight and the game plan was the greatest I think the toughest fight that Mayweather ever faced in his career. I think you got to give Miguel Cotto mad props. That's my personal opinion. You guys may have your own opinions. Some people feel Castillo beat Mayweather. Some people think Oscar beat Mayweather. Some people think that Maidana beat Mayweather. I get it. I understand where you guys come from a fan perspective. I did not think Cotto beat Mayweather, but I thought he was close to drawing the fight, or actually he could have if he started earlier. Of course, this is a woulda, coulda, shoulda. If he had started earlier, someone got onto Mayweather earlier, he could have probably taken the fight. Um, if it didn't happen that way, so. But I think he's the closest to beating Mayweather. I don't think Castillo came close enough. I don't think DeMarcus Maidana came close enough. I don't think that. Even though it was a grueling fight as well, I don't think that Emmanuel Burton, aka Emmanuel Augustus, came close enough. I think that closest to beating Mayweather was Miguel Cotto. You look at all the other fighters. And Jesus Chavez was a hell of a fighter as well. DeMarcus Corley was a hell of a fighter. Jesus Chavez gave Mayweather all he could handle because he took the punches and kept coming, but that fight was stopped. So, now I would have loved to see it play on more and see how it would have panned out, but Ronnie Shields stopped it. So that's what it is. All right, people. So that's my video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Share, like, subscribe, donate to my channel via Western Union MoneyGram. I can give you details on what you need. Peace.